At 8 for the Coons Cooking Hour with Rob Pratt and the Coons Market Team when they discuss beef recipes with lean, budget-friendly cuts. It's the Coons Cooking Hour, presented by Coons Market, your hometown Pittsburgh grocer.
Hey, it's Pony for my friends at Comer and Cross. Does your garage floor have cracked and stained concrete? Mine did. Maybe your garage floor had a bad epoxy or paint job. A new Comer and Cross garage floor is going to transform your whole garage, and all it's going to take is one day. I love mine, and you'll love yours. If you call them right now, and you should do it, don't waste another second. They'll take 50% off your installation. So here's that number, 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. A Comer and Cross garage floor is the gold standard. It is guaranteed to never chip, crack, or show tire lift like epoxy or paint ever. And just like they did for me, they will make it so easy for you. Stuff in your garage, they'll take it out. Cracks and pits, they'll fix them perfectly. Look just like new. And they're going to put their proprietary Comer and Cross finish on it. So I want you to call them now and get that 50% off installation. The number is 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. That's 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. 800-NEW-FLOOR. Or go to COMERCross.com. It's Comer and Cross Premium Concrete Coating.
How was your break?
It was great until I stopped for gas. Prices have gone up almost $1 with no end in sight. I might have to start watching how much I drive.
That's exactly why I use Upside. I never pay full price for gas with the free Upside app.
Upside?
Yes, Upside. It's the free app that gives you cash back just for buying the gas you're already buying. So even with the rising gas prices, I'll never have to limit how much I drive.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Just last year, I made over $200 with the Upside app.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app right now.
Download the free Upside app to earn cash back on the gas you're already buying. Use promo code WAGON for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WAGON for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill-up. That's WAGON.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
For generations, you've listened to us in your kitchen, catching baseball games on your front porch, and ending your day as your bedtime buddy. Now, you can watch us every day on your TV with our new KDKA Radio YouTube page, or by clicking on KDKARadio.com. It's presented by Metropolitan Windows. Same great content, more live visuals. The voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
SchultzFord.com. 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 SchultzFord.com.
All right, coming up on 10 before the top of the hour from the Goldberg, Persky, and White Pioneers and Asbestos Litigation News Desk. Here's Paul Alexander. Paul?
Rob, there's a little more information out there from the District Attorney's Office on the warrant they served against the city. We'll have those details coming up top of the hour right here on the Voice of Pittsburgh News Radio, KDKA.
Bloomberg Money Minute time, Bloomberg Radio, KDKA Radio.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. The Pentagon today admitting the U.S. has already spent $25 billion on the war against Iran as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth testifies to Congress defending the president's proposed 44% funding increase for the Pentagon to a staggering $1.5 trillion. Oil soaring higher today, stocks mostly lower as the U.S. naval blockade in Iran continues and a divided Fed voted to leave interest rates unchanged. The Dow lost 280 points, the Nasdaq up 9, the S&P lost 3. In tech right now, it's all about cloud computing and AI. In late earnings after the close, Amazon Web Services boosted earnings at Amazon last quarter. The Azure Cloud Computing Unit lifted Microsoft, and Google Cloud helped Alphabet's numbers. Also, Meta Platforms said it's raising its spending on AI this year. And Live Golf telling players and staff that Saudi Arabia's public investment fund will no longer bankroll the Upstart Golf Tournament program after this season ends. This report is sponsored by Fidelity. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
The 50,000-watt voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
So, years ago, Mr. Comanche, who happens to be our program director, and Jeff Hathorne, who happens to be our sports director, actually did some television with me when I had a little production company and was doing some things, and actually came across the border in Ohio and did some high school sports with me when I was looking for people to help out. And just about everybody that I've worked with in this industry did help me out when I needed to get some really talented people to work alongside me. And I love high school sports, always. And I'm such a fan, and I love what they're doing here at Odyssey. It really is a big part of the community, right? Well, Jeff and I have had a couple of discussions in our life where it's been point counterpoint, and he's a whole lot smarter than me, the Ohio State grad, but I can hold my own, okay? We had a conversation to where I said Barry Bonds was the greatest Pirate of all time, and he said Clemente was, and it was really great. We were doing a live broadcast one day, and it was fast and furious action, the way I like it, you know? And also, Jeff and I had a discussion years ago in which Jeff, ahead of his time, said, you know, these Catholic schools, they need to have a league of their own. And I, right away, being the good little Catholic diocese young man that I was and am, I said, no, this is my reason. All schools recruit. I mean, how do you think Mike Ditka ended up leaving his birthplace of Carnegie and his dad got a job in the steel mill at J&L in Aliquippa? One of the first members now of that high school that has more players in the Hall of Fame than any high school in the country. But lo and behold, Mr. Hathorn, once again ahead of his time. So I'm looking at the PG app today, and here's the headline. State House passes bill that allows PIAA to conduct separate playoffs for public and private schools. The State House spoke loud and clear today on the high school sports issue of public versus private, Catholic and those charter schools. By a resounding margin of 178 to 23, the House passed Bill 41 that allows the PIAA to establish separate playoffs in Pennsylvania for boundary and non-boundary schools. The bill now goes to the Senate for consideration and a possible vote. A Senate vote could potentially happen in June. Jay Costa will be with me on his way back from Harrisburg Tuesday night. So if I forget, remind me to ask him, but I'll make a little note. Okay. So I'm going to be public about this, and you're all going to hear what I have to say. I think Jeff was right. Okay, it wasn't the first time that he's been right. This is his business. He's on the sports beat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I think it is getting to a point now where a lot of these charter schools, and look, I'm a big fan of them, don't get me wrong, and there's a place for them, but they do have the ability to get players from all over the place, right? But it's also been able for me to have places that are near and dear to me, especially in the Catholic diocese, like the Central Catholics of the world, North Catholic. They mean a lot to me. I mean, they hit home. It's kind of like the last connection to the great City League schools that we once had, like Fifth Avenue and Shenley. And I do make that comparison because Central Catholic in the heart of our great city, I mean, it's picturesque, it's poetic, it's just everything you would ever want to be as far as an opportunity to go to a school like that. But the other argument is this. If you don't think for 1 minute that high school players, no matter what sport they play, young men and women, don't have the opportunity to find themselves at another school because of an opportunity that pops up for mom or dad, well, guess what? You don't really know the real world. As I mentioned, and I just use Mr. Ditka as an example, but the first of many. I mean, I don't know how many of you realize this, but, you know, Aliquippa probably could have had number 4 in the Hall of Fame if he would have lived on the other side of a duplex. Tony Dorsett, actually the side of the duplex that he lived on was in the Hopewell School District as opposed to Aliquippa. Thus, he goes to play at Hopewell. They named that high school stadium after him, and, of course, went on to have that incredible career. 50 years later, of course, we're looking back at that national championship. He goes on to the NFL, and he is a future Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winning quarterback. So I get it. It's all about location, location, location. But what I love about it, because I can't get enough of high school sports, and that means I get to listen to more here at KDKA and watch Ben Taduda do his magic with the social media platform that Odyssey has, we could have dual championships. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Charter school. I mean, and imagine what that would be like. But it would also give, and this is what's the most important thing, the athlete that experience to have an opportunity to play for it all. You know, for many years, and when I was doing play-by-play and doing television for decades covering high school sports, I mean, the WPIAL championship at then Three River Stadium was bigger than the PIAA state championship. Now, maybe not in basketball, and I remember when you could only go as far as the WPIAL championship. But long as we get to hang on to who we are and our identity, and we get that game at 11 and that game at 9 o'clock on that Saturday or Friday after Thanksgiving on the beautiful field that is AccuShore Stadium, I'm all in. But where I think this is going to benefit the most is in those Class 1A, 2A, and 3A schools. Now, we'll see what happens, but I think Jeff Hathorn was onto something back in the day. And now that I'm more of a fan and I listen more and I read more, Mike White, pay attention, I look at it a little bit differently now. And especially with what's happening in our school districts where the numbers are dwindling and the high school rates are going down. I mean, you got some of these 1A and 2A schools that are barely graduating 50 kids. So consolidations have to happen. You have to have co-ops where sports teams join one team as far as having two. They come together to form one, even though they have separate school districts. But I like this idea, and I'm going to be interested to see where it goes. But we'll have more games, more championships, and more chances for the young student athletes to play for a championship. So I think they're actually onto something there. So to Jeff Hathorn all these years later, you were right. All right? You were right. I still think Barry Bonds was the greatest Pirate of all time. I'm just saying. All right, stay with us. News coming up next with Paul. Then we get to your phone calls. We've just got started. Stay where you're at. KDKA 100.1 FM, AM 1020.
Join KDKA Radio Saturday at noon for Minority Health Matters, a monthly look at health disparities in the African American community. It's brought to you by Central Outreach Wellness Center, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA, covered by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 platinum roofing company.
Attention Pittsburgh area residents. If you have Medicaid and need help with activities of basic living, Freedom Care can make it easy. With Freedom Care, the person who cares for you can be someone you love, your family, your friend, or a trusted neighbor. They can assist you with meals, bathing, eating, mobility, and more, and Medicaid pays them for your care. You stay in the home you love, surrounded by the people you choose, and it's 100% free to you. Don't wait. Call Freedom Care now. Call 412-981-1620. With Freedom Care, you get the care you need, and your loved one gets paid instantly after every shift. Feel better, heal better, and live better at home with Freedom Care. Call 412-981-1620 or visit freedomcare.com today. That's 412-981-1620. Again, 412-981-1620. 412-981-1620.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In a world in need of a hero, one man rises to the challenge in style. He is...
just driving the kids to soccer practice.
Make every day feel epic in the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid with up to an EPA-estimated 619 miles of range on select trims, advanced tech, and class-leading interior space. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
And hey, come on, no cleats on the seats.
I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know, taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
KDKA and KDKA-FM HD2 Pittsburgh. W261AX Pittsburgh.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Light rain and 58 degrees at Pittsburgh International at 7 o'clock. I'm Paul Alexander. News brought to you by PJ Fitzpatrick. 45 years of experience and thousands of five-star reviews. TrustPJ.com. Allegheny County District Attorney Stephen Zappala shared Wednesday that the search warrant served on the city of Pittsburgh last month from his office was related to funding for programs serving at-risk youth and minority communities. While he didn't offer any additional details, He expressed concerns about no-bid contracts entered into by the city while Ed Gainey was the mayor and the use of federal COVID-19 relief funds. Zapala said his office was working with federal agents, but not elaborate. Pittsburgh received $335 million in pandemic relief funds. These comments came 2 hours after a deputy district attorney argued that the warrant should remain sealed. An editor for the Post-Gazette went to court in an attempt to have the warrant unsealed. Judge Joe Rangos agreed with the DA's office. That warrant remains under a 60-day seal. Pittsburgh Public Safety has now formally filed felony aggravated assault and other charges against a 15-year-old girl for stabbing another teenager in downtown Pittsburgh last week. The alleged stabbing just before midnight in a 400 block of Wood Street. DeLove Henderson is being held at the Allegheny County Jail without bail because court officials deemed there are no conditions that will protect public safety. DeLove is scheduled to appear in court again next week. A man ran in front of a tow truck on the south side just before 7 o'clock this morning. And police say he tripped and fell when he was hit by the truck in the 2000 block of Wharton Street. The man suffered head and arm injuries, and Pittsburgh EMS transported him to the hospital in critical condition. The driver of the tow truck remained at the scene. A juvenile student at Bell Vernon mentioned a school shooting last week while playing video games online with someone in Minnesota. Now he's facing charges of making terroristic threats and simple assault. The gamer in Minnesota informed local police of the threat, which is believed to be a specific threat against the Bell Vernon School District. Ross Straver police executed a search warrant at the juvenile's house and searched their electronic devices. Pennsylvania is reporting an historic low in traffic deaths in 2025, marking the safest year on record. News Radio KDKA's Tamira Rush has details.
Jennifer Kunsch, PennDOT Deputy Communications Director, tells KDKA Radio that more than $357 million has been invested in 312 safety projects, helping drive a decline in crashes.
That includes things like the high-tension cable median barrier or the high-friction surface treatment, things that can help cars that are maybe distracted or maybe speeding can help them stay on the roadway so they're not going off the roadway or veering into another lane of traffic, and saves lives.
She says the goal remains 0 deaths and urges drivers to slow down, stay sober, buckle up, and avoid distractions. Traffic deaths hit a record low in 2025 at 1,047. Tamira Rush, News Radio KDKA.
KDKA Sports, they're underway over at PNC Park right now, top half of the second inning. The Pirates and the Cardinals are scoreless. And just about 24 minutes from now, Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers will drop the puck for Game 6 of their best-of-7 first-round Stanley Cup playoff series. The Penguins need to stave off elimination one more time after falling behind 3-0. They now trail 3-2. A very crucial Game 6 tonight. Puck drop a little bit after 7:30. KDK Radio News Time, 7:03 right now. Light rain and 58 degrees in Pittsburgh. I'm Paul Alexander. Our next update at 7:30 on the Voice of Pittsburgh News Radio, KDKA.
Head to PNC Park on Sunday, May 3rd for the first family fun day of the season when the Bucks take on the Cincinnati Reds at 1:35 p.m. Arrive at PNC Park early to enjoy the Family Fun Zone on Federal Street, presented by C&M Play Studio with fun for the entire family. Plus, all kids 14 and under take home a Pirates-themed comic book in honor of Superhero Day. And be sure to stay after the game for Kids Run the Bases, presented by Chicken of the Sea. Get more info at pirates.com/familyfundays.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
As the rain moves out, we'll still have a fair amount of clouds tonight, a low of 44. A cooler day tomorrow with sun and clouds. We'll turn breezy in the afternoon with a brief shower, high 53. Maybe a shower in spots late tomorrow night. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Brian Thompson, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
New to Medicare, get covered with MediConnect. Listen Wednesdays around 1:40 to hear Lance O'Brien of MediConnect help you navigate the Medicare process. Simply great, unbiased information to get you the best healthcare coverage. Get covered with MediConnect. Medicare made simple.
All right, let me go over some of the thought process that I had today about maybe some of the things we could be talking about. Prisoners in this country who are behind bars, if they're of sound mind and body to the point where they can actually do some physical labor, we need to get them out doing some really heavy lifting. Why not? Hey, better to be busy and tired at the end of the day as opposed to just wasting away. and maybe government projects to where the taxpayer won't have to pay for the project when it comes to labor. Something to think about. Also, any government project being done in this country, all the material has to come from an American company. Someone that's right smack dab in the U.S. of A. and has USA ties. The other thing, when it comes to our roads, I don't know about you, and this is, I'm not pointing fingers at any township, borough, municipality, city, large or small, PennDOT, nobody. But the roads are horrible. I mean, horrible. I have hit potholes this year that I have never hit in my life. I hit one so bad the other day in the town that I live in that I thought I basically disappeared. Okay? It was like I lost daylight and then it was daylight again. Now, that's figuratively, right? But still. And it's since been filled in, so thank you to the work crew in Monaca, Pennsylvania. But I've hit them everywhere, and I've hit them on major highways. I mean, do you realize how many times you have to basically weave around these potholes and how dangerous it can be, especially when you're in a very tight-knit, cornered 2 or 3 lane highway? So here's what I'm saying. Get more roads under toll, meaning I would rather throw in a few shekels to travel better highways. Look, it's one of the reasons why the Pennsylvania Turnpike, whether you like it or not, I got the Easy Pass. It's probably the only stretch of highway that I can travel to where I'm not going to have to worry about getting an alignment. You know, I remember there was this place called Al's Alignment in Rochester Township. They used to support me back in the day when I was doing play-by-play. I don't even know if they're there anymore, but all I can remember is every spring my dad saying, well, got to go down and get my car aligned down there at Al's. It's been a rough winter. And I used to laugh at that, and I used to think, I've never had my car lined up. I've never needed that. And now I'm thinking I need to see if Al's Alignment is open again. I mean, it was just a little garage. But every year, and I can still see the sign. My dad said, we got to go down there to the North Rochester to Al's Alignment. So why not have a few more roads that are toll driven? I wouldn't mind paying a few more bucks to drive on some of these roads that really we need to be driving on. This is deadly. It's scary. And I don't think I have ever experienced a season where there are more potholes. I don't know. Maybe you don't see it that way, but I do. A couple of other things. So this gas price, and I was watching Tamara Rush, does such a great job of that 90 at 9 today. She was talking about the price of gasoline and how it's gone up. And I was in the home studio doing some social media stuff, and I had to listen to it a couple of times because you were like talking 12 cents on the uptick. And I was like blown away. See, because I've got this little secret that I do. And I'm in Sheetz 2 times a day, right? I am. That's where I get my gas. And I always $10 usually to work, $10 home, so I don't really get that big kick when it comes to the price of gas. And honestly, Sheetz has claim to fame, and I am a little biased because I love the family, I love the brand. They've always made sure that they make it pretty comfortable for people at the pump. That was their claim to fame when they first rolled into this part of the country, and they're doing it now with Success, Michigan, and a bunch of new locations that are going to be built in Indiana. They are refurbishing. They built from the ground up the one in Rochester that I used to frequent and still do all the time. But if you're getting this kind of money at the pump, then Mr. Shapiro or whomever is responsible, shouldn't we have more tax dollars coming from the uptick in gas to where we could actually fix some of these roads? And again, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. I don't know how you feel, but these roads are deadly. They're horrible. I don't think I have traveled any road in recent weeks that there hasn't been a major pothole. I mean, even on bridges. I mean, we're used to get a bit of a break with a bridge, but that's not the case now. So what do you make of all these potholes? So we've been talking a lot about entertainment. And last night, let me say this. Never did I think Michael Jackson, the movie, would come up on the program last night. I mean, it just took off, a life of its own. That's why I love talk radio so much, because it's I don't know, it's inspirational and it's spontaneous, right? And you can act on things that are happening in the moment. And, you may be the audience, but I really consider many of you family. And we got talking about Michael Jackson last night, and I basically said I couldn't understand why so many people still love this guy's music. And his nephew, obviously starring, getting rave reviews. It made over $300 million around the world globally. They're talking how it could make as much as $1 billion. And I'm now intrigued about it. And I was telling everybody about the story of me and his manager kind of being close, Frank DeLeo. And I had to go on social media to post it today because people were asking me to do it, and it's getting a lot of views right now. And it's across all my platforms if you want to check it out. And what Frankie DeLeo, a Pittsburgh native, grew up in Point Breeze, went to Central Catholic, what he meant to Michael Jackson. But people were calling in last night talking about music today and concerts and the price of tickets. And I'll be quite honest with you, I really haven't been to a concert in a long time, right? There's just no time. So I did a little asking around, little backstory, a little research. I never realized to see some of these acts, it's $400 and $500 and $600, as much as $1,000. But the one thing that still is a pretty reasonably priced ticket is going to the movies, right? And I think so many people who have gone to see this are going just because of the concert footage of reenacting, because this young man, his nephew, is so spot on with his choreography, his look, his singing ability, that it's almost like you're going to a concert at the price for the movie theater, what you paid when the Jacksons were on their world tour many years ago here in Pittsburgh. So I'm not so sure how these acts are getting so many people filling up these big arenas when they're charging such a price. And, you know, back in the old days, speaking of Frankie DeLeo, when he was with Sony Records and a major music producer, one of the things that he told me was, you know, concerts back in the day were meant for you to be able to sell music. But now with downloading and people being able to hear anything, the latest Bruno Mars song on YouTube, the day it drops, and the video to go with it, a lot of people, they're going to concerts. Why are they having so many concerts, and why do they continually perform? Because people don't buy records anymore. Concerts are where they make their money now, so that's why they're charging so much. But here's the other thing that's happening. A lot of these artists are selling their libraries. Justin Bieber, Bruce Springsteen, they've sold their libraries. David Lee Roth, Van Halen, he sold his library. And he said this is like the first time that he's actually had some real money. I mean, so all those years they were touring and who was paying or what. And here's the most staggering thing I saw about Michael Jackson's estate today. And he's got 2 children that handle themselves really well in public and I think have a lot of potential. The Jacksons still are relevant. Janet was one of my all-time favorites, right? Frankie was connected to them all. And I remember Frankie telling me that when he was going through all these, you know, accusations, allegations, and trials, there was no money coming in. And Neverland and how that was taken and all this other stuff. Well, at the time of his death in 2009, he was worth nothing. He was $450 million in debt. Do you know what his estate made last year? 3.5, and this is what it's worth. 3.5 billion today. So in death, almost 20 years, Michael Jackson is generating more money than ever. And because of his nephew in this lead role and money on the other side, when meaning box office money, this young man, for portraying his uncle, could walk away with as much as $30 million. So more power to the Jacksons. I'm glad to hear all the good news coming from it. And I talk on my social media platform about the allegations and obviously the charges and what he faced. And we talked about it a little bit last night and how I had Frankie on many times. Jermaine Jackson joined me on KDKA Radio. So you can believe what you want. And it's sick, it's horrifying to even think any of that's true, and especially when you're a parent. And I made it known. You know, my thoughts changed a little bit as far as Michael Jackson. But how I will remember Michael Jackson, 1979, I'm barely 21, and Off the Wall comes out. Rock With You, obviously Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Changed the course of music, dance music, brought rhythm and blues and soul into dance music. So that's how I will remember him. But it's amazing when you think of the biopics that have come out. Timothy Chalamet, Bob Dylan, fantastic, did okay. Jeremy Allen White, Bruce Springsteen didn't do that well at the box office, but I thought, you know, he was good. But it's the Michael Jackson biopic that everyone's talking about, getting Oscar buzz and making millions of dollars. But we've got to find a way to get a handle on these tickets. And I've talked to Rich Engler about it many times, and Ed Travisari and Pat DeCesar, that legendary promotion team of DeCesar Engler. It's out of sight right now. I don't know how the average fan can afford it. All right, 866-391-1020, 866-391-1020. Back with some calls and more topics moments away. We're just underway on a Wednesday night at KDKA. It's your Pratt Pack.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. CordellCordell.com.
Pittsburgh and Cranberry Township. Joseph Cordell. Licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
Pittsburgh's 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
A little more entertainment news. Page 6 TMZ all reporting that Ving Rhames collapsed in an L.A. restaurant. Praying for this guy, of course, Mission Impossible, all those movies with Tom Cruise. Always played a really cool character in whatever movie he was in, Pulp Fiction. But he's also the voice of Arby's. We have the meat. So I'm hoping that he's okay. One of my favorite actors out there in Hollywood. I was watching Bill Maher early this morning when I was on the treadmill. Not to say that I'm a major fan, but, he does political humor, does that monologue that reminds me a lot of Carson, where he talks the headlines, and he, leans a little bit to the left, but obviously finds Donald Trump, our president, very interesting. And I like him. I mean, I always have. And he kind of came up in that era when Johnny was giving guys like him and Eddie Murphy and others an opportunity to do their stand-up, right? So he's my age, and he's got an extremely successful show on HBO, and he's got an extremely successful podcast, has some of the biggest names in the industry, and he really gets some good insight. But he had Wes Moore on as his guest. Now, this, was one of his last shows, and I was watching, a rerun today, obviously. And, I was going to basically go back to SportsCenter or CNN or whatever I was doing, and Wes Moore came out, and Wes Moore was fantastic. The Maryland governor. And Bill asked him, he said, "Are you running for president?" And he said, No. And Bill did the typical double take, and he winked into the camera. And he said the same thing when he brought Josh Shapiro's name up. So I thought we would do this tonight. And that interview kind of made me think. Listen, my mind goes some really strange places during the day, but when it's time to go on the air and that on-air light is on, it really is kind of like the recipe of what happens throughout the day. So I started thinking, so who could really challenge the Republican Party? I mean, most people believe that Donald Trump has got enough star power around him that whoever the Democrats put up against the Republican, whoever it is, and right now it looks like J.D. Vance, although I'm not so sure about that, that the Republicans could win. And this is a very crucial election for the Democrats. Crucial. Big time. They need a win here, right? And I'm a Democrat. And I've said if Josh Shapiro's the nominee, he's going to get my vote. But let me tell you something. I know who Wes Moore is. The whole bridge, you remember that? Chesapeake Bay. He really came to light and did an incredible job there. He was in the military, actually signed up at the age of 17. A great story. very powerful-looking young man who's a great orator, speaks well. And he said something about Donald Trump that I thought, if he would ever decide to run, something to think about. He said, Trump is really good at pointing things out that are bad. And he went through a couple of things, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. But then he said in the same breath, has he ever really accomplished anything? Has he finished one of the problems that he is so eagerly and able to point out? And he said, because of him doing that, he got the American people on his side. And that's how he was able to get back into the White House. But this guy was on point after point after point. So if he's not running for president, which it's too early to say who, what, when, where, why, and how, if I'm Josh Shapiro, I at least make the phone call as a running mate. Wes Moore, fantastic. But this is what I came up with today, and this is where you need to jump in here with me. Who does challenge the Republican Party? Who do the Democrats have? I mean, is it Gavin Newsom? I don't think so. Kamala Harris? I don't think so. Who else did I have? I had Kamala, Wes Moore, Josh Shapiro. I mean, who? It's got to be Josh Shapiro, right? Even though he's not said that because he's running for re-election as governor. But I suspect shortly thereafter, I hope the state doesn't suffer because of it. But I think he would be great as the Democratic nominee, and Wes Moore would be a great vice presidential candidate. I was very impressed. And I must tell you, listening to this interview today and watching it, it gave me a little hope for my party, because I have been worried about who will be the next. Mr. Booker, I thought about him before. If Mr. Fetterman had gotten into this thing a little bit earlier, I think he would have been a great future candidate, and I still think he would make a great vice presidential candidate, because I think he actually looks at politics for what it is. You do what's right for the citizenship as opposed to strictly voting party lines. And something else Wes Moore said today, and I'm not going to be as articulate as he was, but he says if you are basically always just spewing what your party says is right, then you're not really in touch with your constituents or the American people. In other words, you have to have a thought process of your own. And then I started thinking about Donald Trump again. Donald Trump has never, ever really sounded like a Republican. And he's never, ever really said, I am a Republican. I'm a part of the Grand Old Party. I've always been a fan of the Grand Old Party. I mean, this is the same guy that used to write checks to help the campaign of Bill Clinton. And he was actually a very close friend of Bill and Hillary Clinton back in the day. So he used it as a vehicle to get in there. So this brings me to the other point. Do you think that maybe there is some truth that he was just the vehicle for this young voice that is the Republican Party to get in there? He was going to give them the star power, the big splash. He gets into the Oval Office, and then we start lining up. So for all of you detractors of Donald Trump, I'm going to give you a few moments here tonight to actually put up or shut up. And I mean that with all due respect. Who would be a good challenge for him? Who do you think could actually give the Republican Party, not Donald Trump, but he will be the mouthpiece, and believe me, he will be out there on the campaign trail, and he will be promoting his party. But I think getting Wes Moore on national television now before the midterms will be great for the Democrats. Listen, if you're telling me that Gavin Newsom is the guy, and that's what a lot of the pundits are saying, you're not paying attention to Wes Moore. This guy is everything in a bag of chips. I mean, he's got star power. Now, I've heard him speak before, and I've seen him work, and he's done a lot for the people of his state. But, man, if you haven't seen this, you got to go see it. I mean, Google it, on demand, HBO Max, whatever. It's fascinating. And Bill Maher is a good interviewer. In some cases, when it comes to politics, he's a great interviewer. And what I like about Bill Maher, he doesn't pull any punches. And this is another answer to the argument. He does stuff to make fun of every politician. And because it's cable, he can use some words that I would never use, even off the air. But it works for him. It's his shtick. But why is it that he ends up having lunch with Donald Trump, and Kimmel is under the thumb, once again, of the administration, or at least They think they have him under the thumb. And you know, some of the things that my callers have said, and I'm going to give you credit, my radio family, you know, the president's got to dial it back too a little bit. You know, he's made some very harsh comments about individuals as well. So he's got to dial it back a little bit. But if you don't think he can take a joke, you haven't listened to Bill Maher lately. And if you don't think we can't do monologues where we have humor involving politics, you haven't watched Bill Maher in a while. And, you know, he was doing it back in the day as a stand-up. He had a show on ABC that he got canceled and pushed out because of some of the statements he was making. But he's found a home, and he's one of the most watched and listened to personalities in the country, if not the planet. But he's all in on politics. He has some of the biggest names in the industry on that set. Politicians, member of the media, some are Republicans, some are Democrats, but it's a recipe that works. So let's take a little bit of time and let's see your thought process unfold on the radio tonight. Who would be a good challenger to go up against the Republican Party in 2028? 866-391-1020. Let's see if you Democrats, like me, actually have a thought process on who. And any thoughts on Westmore? Pretty strong. Pretty strong. Hey, do you know someone in your community who has done something extraordinary in the past year? Nominate them now at KDKARadio.com to be honored at this year's Larry's Hometown Heroes event. Number to dial again to be on the program, 866-391-1020. Lots more to get to tonight. Been a very busy first 90 minutes, but we're here until 10 o'clock tonight. And Paul is just minutes away with that news at 7:30, and then we get right back to it. You're welcome to join me right now at 866-391-1020. It's your Pratt Pack.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Introducing Home Care Plus, a new subscription service from Lowe's that helps make life easier by giving members a hand with home maintenance. Let Lowe's tackle the tasks you keep meaning to do, like electric dryer vent cleaning, replacing hard-to-reach light bulbs, and more. Subscribe to Home Care Plus for just $99 a year and consider your to-do list done. Members get more at Lowe's. Available in select zip codes only. Cancel anytime. Non-refundable fee. Product purchase required. Terms and service restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
When you call yourself the voice of Pittsburgh, you have to know when to not talk. Sometimes you just need to be the ears of Pittsburgh. Just listen. Listen to what you have to say. These are complicated and uncertain times. But when you need us, we're here for you. And we're listening. A trusted source that you can count on to be here. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Light rain and 56 degrees at Pittsburgh International at 7:30. I'm Paul Alexander. The Verona police have obtained an arrest warrant for a man who allegedly threatened a group of people with a gun. Keith Watson followed some people that were lost along Route 28 into Verona and reportedly struck their car at the intersection of South Avenue and School Street. Surveillance video allowed police to positively identify Watson as the suspect. Background checks revealed he's driving with a suspended license, and his record prohibits him from owning or possessing a weapon. Anyone with any information is asked to contact the Verona Police Department. A look behind the curtain at the Washington Community Theater exposed some misappropriation of funds, according to the Washington Police Department. An arrest warrant has been issued and criminal charges have been filed against the theater's treasurer, Andrew Moores. Investigators determined Moores engaged in deceptive practices while covering up diverting the theater's funds for personal use. Financial records, witness statements, and admissions by Moores brings that total to $41,000. United States Steel is making a massive $1.9 billion bet on the future of American manufacturing. News Radio KDKA's David Bolorado has more.
The company is officially moving forward with a major expansion of its Big River Steel facility down in Arkansas. The investment creates a first-of-its-kind closed-loop supply chain. By producing high-tech iron on site, U.S. Steel aims to fuel its advanced electric furnaces with fewer raw materials and lower costs. It's a strategic shift that promises hundreds of new local jobs there while pushing the company closer to its goal of net zero emissions. It's also expected to create 2,000 construction jobs as it's coming online. David Bolorado, News Radio KDKA.
You probably noticed, but gas prices in the Pittsburgh area are skyrocketing. Several gas stations around Pittsburgh posting prices of $4.39 a gallon. According to AAA's Jim Garrity, the national average is $4.23. That's the highest since the war in Iran began.
And what we're seeing is a reflection of what's going on with the crude oil market, which today it's hovering around $104, $105. Yesterday it was hovering around $100. Last week it was in the $90 range. Going back to the bigger conversation, if you look since the beginning of the Iran situation, crude oil prices have been up.
And unfortunately, he also says there does not seem to be an end in sight. KDKA Sports, Cardinals have jumped out to a 1-0 lead over the Pirates. Right now they're in the bottom of the third over at PNC Park. Minutes away from puck drop in Philadelphia. Game 6 of the first-round Stanley Cup playoff series between the Penguins and the Flyers. Flyers can clinch tonight with a win. The Pirates can bring a Game 7 home with a victory tonight in Philadelphia. KDK Radio News Time, 7:32. Our next update is 8 o'clock. I'm Paul Alexander, the voice of Pittsburgh News Radio, KDKA.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-296-6868. That's 800-296-6868.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
T-Mobile has an exclusive bundle for customers 55 and up.
I'm Sarah Bowl.
Yeah, I'm Frank Bowl.
A reliable network is key for us. And with T-Mobile, it's been wonderful. And going to the 55-plus plan saved us so much money.
A lot.
And that's important. Trying to keep costs down. The home internet's been perfect. It's fast, it's quick. The setup was so easy, it took less than 15 minutes.
It was like, ta-da! If you want simplicity, coverage, reliability, you want the whole package, T-Mobile has it. Right now, T-Mobile customers 55 and up can get 2 phone lines on America's best network, plus America's fastest 5G home internet for just $30 each.
$30 per month each line with autopay plus taxes and fees. Minimum age 55. Pricing for home internet rely on 2 lines of essentials. Choice 55. $35 connection charge per line required. Best mobile network and fastest 5G home internet based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 2H 2025. All rights reserved.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred roofing replacement contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
As the rain and thunderstorms move out, we'll have lingering clouds tonight, low 44. Partly sunny with a brief shower tomorrow, a cooler day, high 53. Still cool with some sunshine and maybe a shower Friday, high 52. For AccuWeather, I'm Brian Thompson at 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Amazon Business. Discover smart business buying where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
The KDKA radio text line is driven by Kenny Ross Auto Group. Find your best deal and Pittsburgh's best warranty at kennyross.com.
Hi, this is Larry Richard. Join us at the Big K Morning Show tomorrow, 5:30 until 10. We'll talk to Bill Hillgrove about the passing of broadcast legend Ray Goss of Duquesne University.
You know what amazes me about all of you folks that don't really like President Trump? I give you, the main course, right smack dab in the middle of the table, a chance to dive in. And I only have one person who has any thoughts on anything I just said. So you don't want Donald Trump or his thought process, but you Democrats, you don't have a name of anybody who could actually challenge the Democratic Party. The Republican Party that could be representing the Democratic Party. And I just gave you Wes Moore. These phones should be like lighting up like a Christmas tree. But it's like you just don't want President Trump, but you don't even really know enough about your own party to give me a couple of names. Am I speaking out of turn? This is the first time we mentioned the president tonight. About 10 minutes ago, we dropped his name for the first time, and I'm giving you a chance to have that big, thick, juicy steak, mouth-watering good, right smack dab in the middle of the table, and nobody seems hungry. Gary, I'm sure you have a lot to say about this topic. Welcome to KDKA.
Thank you. I'm very hungry.
I know.
You have an idea. I know you do in your heart of hearts, don't you?
I do, sir. And I was hoping more Democrats would phone tonight. But anyway, you're first up. Go ahead.
Well, they should. They should. I mentioned, I know who's on the ticket. I got inside information.
Who is it?
I'm kidding, but I believe in my heart, I know who one person's on the ticket for sure. And you haven't mentioned, I know Wes Moore. I know, obviously, he's talented. He has a shot to be VP, but I don't think it'll be him. The governor of Kentucky was on the ticket, okay? Mark it down. And do you remember me talking about him?
I do.
So I'm the one and only, I guess, that actually has a name. He's Governor Beshear from Kentucky, barring something unexpected. He's the number one pick or the number two pick. And who also is the number two pick is Senator Ossoff from Georgia. Or I think it's Ossoff myself. I think those are the two standouts in the Democratic Party, along with Senator Warnock from Georgia, sure, and sure Wes Moore is an up-and-comer. But my two are Governor Beshear from Kentucky and John Ossoff from Georgia.
And by the way, the governor from Kentucky was born in 1977, so he fits the bill as far as youth is concerned.
He does. So does John Ossoff.
How old's he, Gary? Do you know?
I don't. Yeah. I think he's 39. I'm just guessing. And guess what? He's very. The unfortunate part, or fortunate part, you have to be kind of telegenic, right? You have to have some charisma. And John Ossoff has that.
Well, listen, I hope that both parties get youth and they get young quickly, and we have a chance to see that youth energize the country. And I'm going to tell you, if I'm the Republicans, and she just left on maternity leave, and I know she's young, but I would figure a place for Carolyn Levitt, not just as working in the press corps. I think she would be a giant force in the Republican Party. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, But whether you believe her politics or policies work or not, or being the mouthpiece of the president, she can get your attention. She really handles herself well at that podium, and that's not an easy job. And another person that I think would have been great, and maybe even as a possible candidate for the Republican Party, is Sarah Huckabee, governor now. But she's great.
What about the governor? I'll tell you, if it's a woman, I think it'll be the governor of Michigan for the Democratic Party.
Could be.
You know what I mean, right?
Yep.
I can't, Okay, can I say one more thing, please? As the good man that you are, and I think you know me well enough. Well enough to.
Gretchen Whitmer, by the way, I can't stand when we don't deliver the name, so I just wanted to say her name. So go ahead.
Right. I got tongue-tied for a second.
I know. I do all the time. Go ahead.
Okay, you're humble. You're a humble man. Help me with this, will you, please? You know what I think, and I've got to say this, okay, and I'll get off the line. What saddens me in our culture.
What's that?
You know the number one thing that really saddens me in our culture? That we use this HATE all the time in everything we discuss.
You're right.
Just about every, and it's disgusting. And we got more class and character than that. It's a defeat. It's a self-defeating word, and it's hurting America. Using that HATE word, just about everybody's using it. It's wrong.
Well, it is. But at least you came up with some names, so I'm proud of you.
Oh, well, I need that. Thank you. All right. Take care and get your little extra rest if you can.
Okay.
I don't know how you do it.
Listen, man, I grind for America. That's who I am and what I do. All right. So being that you Democrats are too embarrassed or shy to actually speak up for your party, I'll just take it for a few more minutes, then we'll shift gears. I got to tell you, this story about funds and youth violence and COVID money and Steven Sapala on the case, I don't even want to speculate or go there. But, man, do we not need that? In this city. If that goes in the wrong direction, I don't know if you have any thoughts about it. I'm going to put it on the table again if you want to address it or speak on it, because it is the big lead local story, and we opened the show with it tonight. But my goodness gracious, come on. We need some positive, some good, some positive and good. And look, right now, what I am looking at when I look towards this 2028 election, this is going to be the turning point in America. And youth be served. We do not need any more presidents or presidential candidates my age or older. We don't. The thought of we've had two presidents now knocking on the door of their 8th decade. You know what that tells me? America, as I said last night in the final 2 segments, and I got all kinds of pushback, are we the greatest country, most powerful free nation in the world? I mean, they're questioning Mr. Hegses on the price of the war in Iran, about $25 billion to date. Look, nobody wants to spend that money, but do you understand what that regime is trying to do? That's pocket change for them. They're taking the blood money that is oil, and they're trying to develop a bomb, a nuclear bomb that they can launch at us. And I promise you, there won't be a test. Hey, can it go? Good. Ready, set, hit the button. Gone. He's actually doing something to preserve human life, not just here, but around the world. And for these other countries not to help him, shame on them. But here's the other thing. Because of the response, no Democrat saying this person, I mean, you all want Trump out of there, but you don't have a replacement for him. Okay? I gave you 4 or 5, and I'm the one that you think is Trump's biggest cheerleader. But what I'm getting at is, if we can't defeat this regime who's basically throwing drones at us because that's all they have left, what does that say for our military, who I absolutely embrace? And, I had the top 10 things, these little throwaways, these springboards to variety, as I call them, that I always have in my hip pocket, just in case I need to sprinkle a couple of other things to the table. And one of the things is law enforcement. We've got to be able to recruit. We've got to be more respectful. But if the military is down by 10%, teachers are down by 10%, obviously law enforcement numbers are down. We could use another 100 officers in Pittsburgh. There's a problem. Houston, we have a problem. And if you simply want the person who's running the country out, but you don't even have an idea who could replace or challenge his thought process when the 2028 election comes around, what's that tell me? You're not plugged in. 866-391-1020. It's your Pratt Pack.
It's the little things. The information you need. People you know. The little things that make a big difference. The voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call us now. $30 billion was set aside for meso victims. And in most cases, your claim is settled out of court without a jury trial. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Attention Pittsburgh area residents. If you have Medicaid and need help with activities of basic living, Freedom Care can make it easy. With Freedom Care, the person who cares for you can be someone you love, your family, your friend, or a trusted neighbor. They can assist you with meals, bathing, eating, mobility, and more. And Medicaid pays them for your care. You stay in the home you love, surrounded by the people you choose, and it's 100% free to you. Don't wait. Call Freedom Care now. Call 412-674-5196. With Freedom Care, you get the care you need, and your loved one gets paid instantly after every shift. Feel better, heal better, and live better at home with Freedom Care. Call 412-674-5196 or visit freedomcare.com today. That's 412-674-5196. Again, 412-674-5196. 412-674-5196.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
SchultzFord.com. 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 SchultzFord.com.
Hear about it. Then talk about it. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
All right, you know, when you look at what's happening in America right now, and if you think the government can change it, they can't. Meaning what I was talking about, military numbers being down, law enforcement, new numbers down, teachers down 10, 15% across the board. Listen, we've got to start promoting and teaching and educating and saying, look, these are vital components. But do you understand why those three are not getting the numbers that they once had? It's because of that word that I talk about all the time, respect. We don't respect members of the military. There are people listening to me right now that have never had a discussion with their children or grandchildren about Memorial Day, which is fast approaching. They haven't. Law enforcement, it's always, well, the bad person who's getting the short end of the stick because of that bad police officer. And teachers, it's not little Johnny or Jane's problem, it's the teacher's problem. I mean, we're upside down in America. I mean, I throw out there an opportunity for all of you that don't like Donald Trump, and you don't even have a name of a possibility of a candidate who could actually give the Republican Party a push. So you might as well, would you just rather the Republican Party stay in there, the mouthpiece that is Donald Trump through J.D. Vance, and then beyond Marco Rubio and who knows what or who's next, and the Oval Office is really run by the Grand Old Party for the next 20 years, just so you can have something to complain about? Let's go to Matt, North Hills, with your Pratt Pack, KDKA. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Rob, great listening to you as always. We met way back when you did some advertising for my personal care home in the North Hills.
Oh, cool.
That all being said, I think that as I'm listening to you, I think that we got to get our children back, and they seem to be heading in the right direction. I think that we can all say what we want. COVID got everybody, so there's 10% less teachers, there's 10% less of the, people that do the business of the people in the past, where that was the police officers, and everything shook up. But I hope you agree it was purposeful. Like, this was all planned out. And I think as long as the children understand what's going on, I think we're going to be fine.
Hey, listen, do me a favor. Do the deep dive on I found that fascinating. So you're saying COVID actually was kind of a cleansing? It worked? Explain that to me.
Well, I think what happened was, I'll give you an example. I have a son that's a physician, and he had to get the COVID shot. And this was back when 1920, whatever. And whenever I asked him about gain of function, he said to me, "No politics, Dad." And if you recall, when it first came out, it said that it was going to divide families, and it has. I mean, these things are all divisive, and they're set up on purpose. And my sense is that as long as we get the children back and that they see the reality, I really do believe everything's going to be fine. Because you and I are the same age. You and I grew up the same way. Thank God we had the parents we did to get us where we are and how we are. But the problem was that we all believed. Walter Cronkite, all the different people that were on TV, you believe. Now you get your media from wherever you get your media from, and you hook on to whoever you believe is telling you the truth. I think the truth will come out, though. I think you agree that the realities of the situation are going to be known at some point in time. When, I don't know. And I have no idea who it is. I'm still independent and wish to stay that way. But once again, I listen to you all the time, and as I was hearing you talk about some things, I thought, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think we've all had our eyes opened in many, many respects. And I think that now that the eyes are open, we're all going to see what's coming.
You know what I think has come from the pandemic, which kind of goes right in the same direction that you're going in, Matt. People were staying home more, and they learned to live in their home, appreciate their home, and they weren't going at the speed of light. And one of the things that people are doing now more than ever, and I see it with my own children, especially my daughter Eva and my son Robbie, who are both single, and my oldest son Tyler and his 3 kids, his wife, they do it all the time. They're actually cooking meals and sitting down and having dinner. And look, I am a firm believer that if you have that nightly dinner with your family, and I'm single now and my kids are all grown and on their own, but when they were younger, even if I had to take them to an Eaton Park or wherever or do it at home, we did it just about any opportunity I had, even if it was a little later, because my schedule was never a set schedule. But I think if families take at least that hour or hour and a half or whatever a night to gather around the table and actually make eye contact and talk, I think it can go a long way to actually keep families together and keep us all on the same page and talk about things that matter. So if COVID did anything, it brought people back to the kitchen in their house, not just cooking up some good food, but great conversation. And I think that'll go a long way to continue to help America go in the right direction.
Oh, I agree with you totally, Rob. And you and I both know that. I had to be home at 6 o'clock no matter what to be with the family for dinner. And you usually didn't leave the table till something to 8 because of everybody I'm 5 of us, so there were 6, including me. And everybody spoke and everybody talked about their day. Now everybody's on their computers or they're on their cell phones, and there's so much information coming. I mean, I remember telling my kids the story. I was addicted to pinball. There's always something out there that fascinates us that you can't wait to do it again. And I think that the children just have so much out there to choose from. I mean, it has to be difficult. For you and I, it was easy. Back then, our parents were allowed to discipline you in ways that they're not allowed to do anymore. And I think we were fortunate that we had that growing up. And I think that you probably passed it along to your children. I hope I passed it to mine. But unfortunately, the way things are set up right now, I don't think people really get a chance to be able to communicate. And so I agree with you totally. The upside of the COVID was getting us all back around the kitchen table.
So let me ask you in closing, Matt, you and I in that same category. So we are in Act 3, as they say, and you've dealt with the aging process because of who you are and what you've done. So what do you hope for in the last, hopefully, 15, maybe 20 years, if you're lucky, of your life? What do you really are going to try to drill down on and accomplish? And this might be a great topic to kind of bring up later tonight for not just people our age, but somebody in that, that age of 40 and beyond, to where you're in your prime earning years. So, but for us, what are some of the things that we should try to do in the last couple of years of our life? What do you think?
I think you have to have the children want to see you. I have grandchildren now, and I grew up on a farm with my grandfather and my grandmother, and I have a farm now, and I look forward to spending that time with my grandchildren to teach them the difference between right and wrong, teach them how to communicate, teach them to go back to church. My grandmother taught me many, many years ago, if you don't have an hour a week for God, you got a problem. And I think that if we can get back to that at the table, like you're talking about, and plant that seed again, this is what's the most important thing, is to communicate. And that's what I want to do. And I love my grandchildren. They're young right now. I have one that's only 5 months, one that's 3, and one that's 5. But I have 6 children, and I'm sure they're going to provide me with plenty of grandchildren. So that's what I'm looking forward to, Rob. Can't wait for that day.
All right. So you retired now?
Heck no. I just had a daughter get married in Italy in September. I'm still paying that off, and I have 2 more children that have to get married yet, so I can't retire till they're all done.
So how old are you?
I'm 66.
Okay, yeah, a couple of years younger than me, but man, I don't know where my.
Do you remember coming out promoting my place?
I do. Just save a room for me, will you? No.
Great talking to you. Love your show, my friend. And you tell it like it is. And I think Pittsburgh knows that. I think they recognize you don't pick sides, you pick facts. And I appreciate that you lay out the facts every day. And continue to do it, my friend. Love listening to you.
All right, Matt. Have a great night. Listen, we'll pick up the conversation after we get Jack in here, Jack Manning. But look, there's so much good. And this is still such a great region. And I just think we owe it to future generations to get it right. And there are things making news every day. And I got to be honest with you, seeing Corey O'Connor doing what he's doing, it excites me. And, I'm glad that I am still around and able to talk about him. And as I said earlier, his dad, who I had such love and respect for, as I did his mom, they'd be so proud of him, as they were of all their kids, Heidi and, Father Terry. But Corey's just a shining example of, hard work does pay off. And as long as people can see you and see that there is hope, that's all people are looking for. Now, speaking of hope, these data centers, which have been huge as far as the news is concerned, you can't pick up a paper or turn on a newscast without somebody talking about them, right? Well, we've got one coming to Indiana County, and we've talked to Jim Strucy about that, state rep. And there's one coming to Beaver County, the old Bruce Mansfield coal-fired power plant. I have a little story about that place later tonight. And Jack Manning, who is Beaver County Commissioner, we haven't had him on in a long, long time, is going to drop by, and we're going to just ask him. So is it good? Is it bad? How's it going to benefit? What's it going to be about? The construction aspect of it. Is Beaver County in Pennsylvania going to benefit from it? So everything that you ever wanted to know about data centers, artificial intelligence, Meta, a 20-year contract with the one in Beaver County. Jack Manning, Beaver County Commissioner, next after Paul checks the news in 2 minutes on KDKA.
The Village at St. Barnabas, the perfect place for moms.
Head to PNC Park on Sunday, May 3rd for the first family fun day of the season when the Bucks take on the Cincinnati Reds at 1:35 p.m. Arrive at PNC Park early to enjoy the Family Fun Zone on Federal Street, presented by C&M Play Studio, with fun for the entire family. Plus, all kids 14 and under take home a Pirates-themed comic book in honor of Superhero Day. And be sure to stay after the game for Kids Run the Bases, presented by Chicken of the Sea. Get more info at pirates.com/familyfundays.
Are you turning 65 and have questions about Medicare? Aetna has Medicare Advantage plans that include prescription drug coverage in Pennsylvania with a $0 monthly plan premium. Plus, the plans include benefits like dental, vision, and hearing. You may also qualify for a monthly credit toward your Part B premium. Call Aetna today at 1-888-76-AETNA to learn more.
Aetna Medicare is an HMO PPO plan with a Medicare contract. Our D-SNPs also have contracts with state Medicaid programs. Enrollment in our plans depends on contract renewal. Plan features and availability may vary by service area.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
KDKA and KDKA-FM HD2 Pittsburgh. W261AX Pittsburgh.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. from the Aetna Medicare studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Cloudy and 55 degrees at Pittsburgh International at 8 o'clock. I'm Paul Alexander. Allegheny County District Attorney Stephen Zappala shared Wednesday that the search warrant served on the city of Pittsburgh last month from his office was related to funding for programs serving at-risk youth and minority communities. While he didn't offer any additional details, he expressed concerns about no-bid contracts entered into the city while Ed Gainey was mayor and the use of federal COVID-19 relief funds. Zappala said his office was working with federal agents but did not elaborate. Pittsburgh received $335 million in pandemic relief funds. These comments came 2 hours after a deputy district attorney argued that the warrant should remain sealed. An editor from the Post-Gazette went to court in an attempt to have the warrant unsealed. Judge Jill Rangos agreed with the DA's office, and that warrant remains on a 60-day unsealed wheel. Pittsburgh Public Safety has formally filed felony aggravated assault and other charges against a 15-year-old girl for stabbing another teenager in downtown Pittsburgh last week. The alleged stabbing happened just before midnight in the 400 block of Wood Street. The Love Henderson is being held at the Allegheny County Jail without bail because court officials deemed there are no conditions that would protect public safety. The Love is scheduled to appear in court again next week. A juvenile student at Bell Vernon mentioned a school shooting last week while playing video games online with someone in Minnesota. Now he's facing charges of making terroristic threats and simple assault. The gamer in Minnesota informed local police of the threat, which was believed to be a specific threat against the Bell Vernon School District. Ross Traver police executed a search warrant at the juvenile's house and searched their electronic devices. Pennsylvania is reporting an historic low in traffic deaths in 2025, marking the safest year on record. News Radio KDK's Tamara Rush has the details.
Jennifer Kunsch, PennDOT Deputy Communications Director, tells KDKA Radio that more than $357 million has been invested in 312 safety projects, helping drive a decline in crashes.
That includes things like the high-tension cable median barrier or the high-friction surface treatment, things that can help cars that are maybe distracted or maybe speeding can help them stay on the roadway so they're not going off the roadway or veering into another lane of traffic, and saves lives.
She says the goal remains 0 deaths and urges drivers to slow down, stay sober, buckle up, and avoid distractions. Traffic deaths hit a record low in 2025 at 1,047. Tamira Rush, News Radio KDKA.
KDK Sports, the Penguins and the Flyers are scoreless right now. And this has been a very fast-paced game, a lot of hard hitting. 8 minutes and 40 seconds remain in that first period. Again, Flyers lead 3-2, win and they advance. If the Penguins win, Game 7 back here on Saturday. Pirates trade the Cardinals 3-0 right now. We're in the top half of the fifth inning. The Pirates have now lost 3 games in a row again. 3-0 top of the fifth. Cardinals leading the Bucks. KDK Radio News Time 8:03. Your AccuWeather forecast is next. I'm Paul Alexander on the Voice of Pittsburgh News Radio, KDKA.
Went outside, looked around. We needed a window, a bay window. Guess what? Universal Windows Direct. Right now. Buy 2, get 2 free. No payments. No interest. 24 months. Come on. And $500 off of your project. 412-545-6003. This deal is amazing. Their sales, their service, their installation, the best there is. And now's the time, folks. Universal Windows Direct. Do it.
Make 380 Auction of Murraysville your next stop for name brand furniture. Stop in and compare their quality and pricing and save. 380 Auction has name brand furniture for less. Before you buy, shop 380 and save on your next furniture purchase. 380 Auction is open Tuesday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 724-339-3132. That's 724-339-3132 or log on to shop380.com and save.
Life is a way of throwing out curveballs that can make it feel impossible to get ahead. But at Peoples, we know that sometimes a helping hand can make all the difference. If you're struggling to make ends meet or just need a little support with your natural gas bills, we're here to help. Because let's face it, you have enough on your plate. Learn more about our customer assistance programs at peoples-gas.com/help.
The Pittsburgh Speaker Series at Heinz Hall, presented by University of Pittsburgh, announces its 26-27 season. 7 evenings to deepen your understanding of the world around you, featuring Anderson Cooper, former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, financial journalist Andrew Ross Sorkin, former NASA Administrator Charles Bolden, and the former U.S. Ambassador to China Nicholas Burns. The series is sponsored by News Radio KDKA and the Spanos Group of Raymond James. Tickets on sale now at pittsburghspeakers.org.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred roofing replacement contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
As the rain moves out, we'll still have a fair amount of clouds tonight, a low of 44. A cooler day tomorrow with sun and clouds. We'll turn breezy in the afternoon with a brief shower, high 53. Maybe a shower in spots late tomorrow night. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Brian Thompson, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Rob Frax on the voice of Pittsburgh, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Listen, I'm all in when it comes to my home turf, Beaver County, but this isn't just Beaver County, it's Indiana County too. And as I alluded to just a few minutes ago, State Representative Jim Struzzi has been keeping us abreast as far as Homer City. And I wanted to get Jack Manning, Beaver County Commissioner, back for the first time in a long time to talk about the data center, shipping port, and, of course, EQT. Toby Wright's going to supply the natural gas, and, of course, that plant going to be built as well at the old Bruce Mansfield coal-fired power plant. So it's Data Center 101 with Beaver County Commissioner Jack Manning. Jack, good to have you back and continued success. You guys are doing a lot of good things out of that commissioner's office. So what can you tell me about this data center that I do know that Mark Zuckerberg and Meta has signed a 20-year deal to use some of the power that will be generated there? So go right ahead.
Well, it's great to be with you as always, Rob. The Meta deal is actually with Vistra, and they're supposed to be using some of the power that's going to be an uptick in capacity that Vistra, the nuke plant in Shippingport, is going to produce after they go through some changes in their operations. They can eke another 10% out of each of their reactors there. That won't be exclusively used by Meta at that location. So what's happening now with the Shippingport, Frontier Group is the one who owns the property. They have signed on aligned data centers. Aligned has built data centers all across the country. Actually, a couple of us from Beaver County went to Sandusky, Ohio, just a couple of weeks ago to visit a data center that they're operating in Sandusky.
Right.
It's similar to what will be built on the Bruce Mansfield site. So that site will initially be powered actually by diesel fuel. They're bringing in generators to get operations up on that more quickly when that's constructed. The line feels that they'll be able to have this thing completed in 12 to 15 months. It's going through the process. They're going through all the permitting processes. They've been approved conditionally by Shippingport Borough. So it's in progress. It's going to happen. And to me, it's the perfect location for a data center, a former brownfield site. They're not going to be taking any water out of the Ohio River. Aligned, when they build data centers, they have closed loop deionized water systems to do all the cooling. And it'll be self-contained. It won't pull any energy off of the grid, either from the nuke plant or from PJM. It'll all be self-contained power through these diesel generators. And it's National Fuels, who has pipelines that go all up and down the Ohio River, but go right through that site. They'll actually initially be powering that data center. So we're pretty excited about it. It's a great reuse. It's not in a great population center. There's not a lot of housing there, so construction noise isn't a big issue, although it's always of concern to some folks. The water usage, the power usage is all the right things that we've been saying need to be done for a data center to come into Beaver County, which are also the same things that the state has adopted and Shapiro administration has adopted for where and when data centers should go into a community.
All right, so let me jump in here with some follow-up questions because I think we need some answers here. So, are they going to demo the entire Bruce Mansfield site and start from the ground up, the towers and all the things that exist there? Is all of that going to be cleaned up and gone away?
No, it won't be. Most of what they're building the data center on right now is on land that is next to the old coal-fired plant. So the coal-fired plant itself, which Frontier Group is planning to convert from coal-fired to natural gas.
Okay.
But that's a project that's going to take a little bit longer than the data center actually comes up. So there's really two projects there on the Bruce Mansfield site.
That's what I thought.
One, to do a gas-fired plant, convert the old coal-fired plant into gas-fired plant with new turbines. It's already connected to the grid. That will produce energy that will go positively onto PJM and allow for more capacity for, businesses and the like on PJM. Well, that doesn't go exclusively to Pennsylvania with the way PJM works, but that'll be a plus addition to PJM. Hopefully more than make up for the loss of shutting down the coal-fired plant, which is a problem with the energy demands we have. We have to find ways to increase the net capacity for energy, and this will really help that project.
All right, so you definitely clarified two projects as opposed to one, but now you mentioned about generating with natural gas electricity, which the old Bruce Mansfield coal-fired power plant used to do. So does that mean it's going to benefit the consumer in this region when it comes to the bottom line, their monthly bill?
Yeah, well, hopefully. When this whole project is done, there won't be a net loss of energy due to a data center. There'll actually be a positive gain of more gigawatts going onto the grid.
Good. Now, the other thing, and I'm going to be at the open house on Saturday broadcasting my show, the Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, Homer City and Beaver County, going to provide, as we had thousands at the Shell Cracker plant, building trades jobs, many of them carpenters, electricians, and plumbers. So this is great for union building trades, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, they're anticipating somewhere 2,000 to 3,000 construction jobs for both of these projects over the next couple of years. Yeah, so it's another great opportunity for some good union labor and the trades to get involved here. Both facilities are committed to using local hires, local talent. They won't be bringing people in from across the country. There's enough talent here, but a lot of these places, when they're looking at Beaver County, looking at the region, they're taking a gauge and they understand what the capacity is, what the talent level is, how many pipe fitters, electricians, carpenters, insulators, all the folks that you need to build these kind of facilities exist here in the area. And as you know, we have a great labor force here.
No doubt. Let's just focus on a couple more things. Beaver County Commissioner Jack Manning, so grateful he's here tonight to talk about stuff that really the region needs to know. What's the latest on the nuclear plant? I know that they were up for sale, exchanging hands. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. How is that great nuclear power plant in Shippingport doing?
Yeah, well, that's it. Vistra is the new owner.
Right.
They're a national company there. They've got nuclear plants, gas coal-fired plants, windmills, solar energy production, battery storage all across the country from California to here in Pennsylvania and Maryland. They've been great new owners. They're extremely community-minded. We've been thrilled about that. They've increased their hiring a little bit, and they're the ones that actually have signed this deal with Meta to take some increased capacity that they can get out of the two current units that they have on site there. There's some improvements they can make and some slight technical improvements where they think they can boost capacity 8 to 10% on each of those. And it's that capacity increase that Meta has now exclusive rights to when that happens. That's going to take a little bit, though. They do have some things they have to do. Both of those units, I believe, are approved. I don't want to misstate that, but whatever that length of time is that the commission does to approve those units are both improved up into the 2030s, 2035 range. So they're going to be operating for a while. They have all the permits to do that. They run smoothly. As you know, that's the site of the oldest nuclear facility in the country, going back to 1957 with Eisenhower when he commissioned that, and Admiral Rickover and all those folks. And it ran for a long time under the old units that they had, came back up later, and they've been in continuous production since. And they're in pretty good shape now. And I do believe that nuclear power is becoming more in vogue, if that's right term for it, as people look at carbon footprint.
It is.
With all the demands we have, because the demand on energy isn't going away. It just, it's a hockey stick curve of demand, and we really feel that nuclear and Westinghouse with those new units, unfortunately, I don't know where they're going to be built. I thought at one time they may come here to Beaver County, but in any case, those portable units that they have really, I think, is the future for large manufacturing facilities and data centers and these kinds of things to have that self-contained energy generation. So we're pretty excited about that. And Vistra, again, has been a great neighbor here, community-minded neighbor here in Beaver County.
All right, Jack, stay where you're at. I got a couple more quick things I want to ask you on the other side of the break. But this is all progress. This is all stuff to be hopeful. And it's just not Beaver County. It's the region. It's the building trades. And it's the energy grid. So, Jack Manning, Beaver County Commissioner, one more segment with your Pratt Pack. Then we'll take calls right up until 10 o'clock tonight. Stay with us.
Your source for the AccuWeather forecast. Hear it on News Radio KDKA.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
Spring savings continue at Coons Market. Isn't that right, Frank Dentisi?
Right, Rob. In our meat department, great on the grill, ahi tuna steaks are $9.99 a pound. In the produce department, Haas variety avocados are 5 for $5. In the deli, Garden Fresh Pico de Gallo, 12-ounce packages, $3.99 each. And additional savings this week, selected varieties Totino's tortilla chips, 10 to 12-ounce bags, 2 for $7.
Coons Market, a Pittsburgh tradition.
Hello, KDKA listeners. This is Carlos, owner of Greater Pitt Tree Service. If you have any concerns about any trees on your property, call Greater Pitt Tree Service, 412-884-TREE. We have an A-plus rating on the Better Business Bureau. To serve your needs best, we have an ISA-certified arborist on staff. We have 32 years experience, 412-884-TREE. We will be your best choice for tree work. Greater Pitt Tree Service, 412-884-TREE. And remember, we did your neighbor's tree.
Why would a guy in financial services pick a fight with the financial industry? Because in many cases, the system they built works more for them than it does for you. Tune in for a new kind of retirement show with Greg Ayler. Now at a new time, Saturdays at 5 on the Voice of Pittsburgh, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
The KDKA radio text line is driven by Kenny Ross Auto Group. Find your best deal and Pittsburgh's best warranty at kennyross.com.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
The Voice of Pittsburgh, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
All right, lots of interesting stuff. Beaver County Commissioner Jack Manning, all about the future. When you think of Meta and Facebook and Mr. Zuckerberg in 2004, how far we've come in a little over 20 years. And I think these things that are happening in Beaver County are definitely going to be taking this country and this region to new heights when it comes to energy, workforce, and more. A lot of exciting things. So a couple more things with Jack, and then we'll give him a chance to be a cheerleader for our beloved Beaver County before we say goodbye. So what's the latest on Royal Dutch Shell? Pristine. I drive by it every day. Can't get enough of it. But, you hear the good, you hear the bad. So give me some good, and if there is any bad, I want to know it. But I don't see much bad. I see a lot of good. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think they're operating fine. We did have about a month ago, a few weeks ago, the air permit hearing. I was at that. I testified along with all of our state reps and a whole bunch of other people. There were about 70 people at the Penn State Beaver campus for that hearing with the DEP. I think it went very well. A lot of support from small businesses, our downtown businesses, industry, nonprofits, all the people that have been benefiting from them coming into town and providing tremendous resources in terms of people and volunteers, as well as contributions to different organizations. The permit that they filed, I think, will, if approved, and I'm anticipating it will be approved, will allow them to continue operations. They have really cleaned up their act from some of the early startups and some of the technical issues they had. That was a state-of-the-art business brand technology, brand new process there, and they had to do some tweaking. They've done that. I think they've lined up pretty good. Of course, the naysayers are always going to be naysayers when it comes to that, but they're doing a good job there. And I know there's rumors about them being sold and all that stuff. I think that's all that is rumors.
Good.
Clearly, the Royal Dutch Shell people, I was in that business a long time. Anything's for sale at the right price. Could there eventually be a name change there or a co-ownership or anything? Wouldn't surprise me. But the plant is not going away. It has too much value. The market is in flux right now. And I will tell you, this Iranian war thing is disrupting an awful lot of businesses that are related to oil use and the like. This one runs on natural gas, so that's an advantage to them versus some other sites that are oil-based. So this actually may help them a little bit in the short term with their sales and their profitability. But with the disruption of supplies, back and forth from Asia to the U.S. and also to here in the States, it's a tough time for businesses right now, but I'm sure they'll get through that, and I feel pretty confident about them going forward.
All right, so ahead of his time, Mr. Better's good friend developed that beautiful, pristine property along the Ohio River in Aliquippa. Mayor DeJuan Walker, I've heard about a data center going there. Boy, that's a shovel-ready place, and I got to believe if anybody's looking to come to basically dovetail off some of the things we talked about, I mean, we're ready in Beaver County, are we not?
Yeah, Fezzik Energy is the one that Mr. Weathers is invested with and is preparing the site for. It'll be a combination, I think, of Midland and West Aliquippa for locations, some power generation. He's got a process ready there. I think the big hang up there, like a lot of these, is signing on with an end user. Who's going to use the artificial intelligence, the power that comes from those chips and those data centers, who's going to use that? And there's a lot of competition, as you know, here in Southwest PA for those data centers. So the question is, who's going to be the end user there? I think once they can find an end user, that should probably progress as well.
Listen, it excites me for a number of reasons because the ancillary jobs from PGT Trucking, Mr. Gallagher's brother, their river barge traffic, but also, and I'm sure you've read the trades and heard, we've got Norfolk Southern and CSX, which have always been recession-proof. Now there's talk of a transcontinental railroad by the name of Union Pacific purchasing Norfolk Southern. I think that's great, but I also think the powers to be realize that this commodity that is natural gas, and we have an abundance of it here with these tankers and these train cars and keeping the streets safe, that could become a big ticket item too. So what are you hearing about Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern, if anything?
I'm not hearing anything specific about that. I've certainly read about that and I've been aware of that. I will tell you that the old Nova Chemical site, my old plant, Styrapec site, just sold to a company called PCS.
Ooh.
And that site is going to be converted into a huge rail yard that does rail car repair, cleaning, storage, some offloading, some warehousing. So people understand that the rail traffic that comes through from the Mississippi on through the New Jersey that goes through the state here is extensive, and these folks are investing in a rail yard to handle all of the rail cars and a lot of the stuff that comes through there. They're already doing work for Shell. They're talking about doing some work with some other companies up and down the Ohio, but as far away as New Jersey on one side and up to Indiana on the other side, where folks are always looking for secure rail car storage and stuff. So it's ancillary things like that are happening, Rob, that are continuing to add jobs and make that corridor and our legacy of making things for a living here in Beaver County.
That's great.
Benefiting the jobs in the economy here.
All right, Jack, before I let you go, I'm going to give you a chance. Be a cheerleader. What else is happening in Beaver County that I might not know about?
Well, right now we're concentrating on the America 250 stuff. We've got a lot of events coming up. Beaver County Boom's coming up, there the last Saturday in June. It's going to be bigger and better than ever with the Zamboni fireworks. And then in September, we're having a big America 250 parade through downtown Beaver on Saturday, September 19th. And just a lot of events. This weekend's History Weekend here in Beaver County. So just a lot of community events, all supported by different businesses and the nonprofits and Push Beaver County and all these folks coming together. There's a great sense of community, as you know, here in Beaver County. We're excited about that. And Beaver County, Bloom, Monaca and Rochester and Bridgewater and Beaver, they'll all have their community events coming up, and all the small mom and pop shops that are springing up in those communities are really reached a tipping point and doing well. So we're excited about the small business and the other community events that are going on, just as much as we're excited about the development that's happening up and down the Ohio River here. So
well,
a lot of good things.
We'll end on this note, and it may be the best story of every story that we've discussed, because it's going to be job creation and refurbishing and branding and rebuilding when it comes to our very essential health care. And Heritage Valley, #1 employer in Beaver County, and it's pending right now, and they've got to, cross some T's and dot some I's, but fan of both. But I think Allegheny Health Network and Heritage Valley, what they're about to do coming together, is going to benefit especially Beaver County. Your thoughts on that, and then we'll say goodnight.
Yeah, well, it's funny you should mention that. Also, about a month ago, Attorney General Dave Sunday was in Beaver County for an event at the courthouse with Nate Bible and stuff. And I had a chance to say, hey, Attorney General Sunday, I know you have to sign off on this on the state. I can't tell you how important this is to Beaver County for this deal to go through. And he's assured me it's important for the state for this to go through as well. So I expect that next step for the state to sign off to happen any time now, probably in May. And then it has to go to the federal level. The FTC has to make sure there's no monopolizing of healthcare and stuff there, but I fully anticipate that's going to go through. That will add tremendous capacity for greater healthcare access, affordability, jobs, and everything else here in Beaver County. Really secure healthcare for us for the foreseeable future. So we could not be more excited about that going through as well.
Jack, thanks for a little extra time tonight. I appreciate it. For all of you in government in that beloved Beaver County, keep up the good work, okay?
I appreciate it anytime, Rob. You know that.
There he goes, the great Jack Manning, one of the hardest working people. Listen, if you could clone a politician, I'd get me a half a dozen of that guy. I mean, every time I've asked him, he's been there. We don't rehearse. I ask, he answers. And if he doesn't have the answer, he gets it. But there are some exciting things happening. And it's not just Beaver County. This stuff is going to spill into Allegheny and Butler and Washington County and Lawrence County. We'll be back. It's your Pratt Pack.
Pittsburgh's very own board-certified and licensed hypnotherapist Dan Vitchoff of the PA Hypnosis Center is here to help you. He has helped train U.S. Olympic team members control their brains, stay relaxed, focused, and in control, giving them the edge for the gold. He's recognized by many organizations around the world as one of the top hypnotherapists anywhere. He has gotten over 3,000 people to give up cigarettes for good in the last 22 years. He's helped folks even who've tried gastric bypass to lose weight. He can help you and give you a 98% success guarantee. Call 724-934-8446. That's Dan Bitchoff, the PA Hypnosis Center. Mention KDKA and get $50 off any program. But call for a free consultation today, 724-934-8446. The PA Hypnosis Center with Dan Bitchoff. Make that call today, 724-934-8446.
Retirement, it's almost here. Are you ready? Well, join Kurt Kanodik and Ethan Lane of Accurate Solutions Group for your retirement blueprint. Let Kurt and Ethan help you plan for your retirement dreams. Don't miss your retirement blueprint, Sundays at 10. Investment advisory services offered through ASG Investment Management, LLC.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Colin Dunlap on KDKA.
With the advent of devices, i.e. your cell phone, I wonder if 10, 20, 30 years from now, small talk's even going to be a thing. We have become so procedural. We have become so robotic, so inward, that talking to a stranger, in a good way, seems like it's kind of a lost art.
Weekdays 2 to 6 on the Voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
CBS News Brief. The Supreme Court's conservative majority has found that a black majority congressional district in Louisiana relied too heavily on race. CBS's Jan Crawford.
Justice Alina Kagan, writing a sharp dissent for the court's 3 liberals, accused the court of gutting the Voting Rights Act. She predicted minority representation in government institutions will sharply decline.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth testifies before the House Armed Services Committee, saying of the war with Iran,
President Trump, unlike other presidents, has had the courage to ensure Iran never gets a nuclear weapon, and he's ironclad in that.
Former FBI Director James Comey made his first court appearance on charges of making threats against President Trump, but did not enter a plea. The charge follows a photo he posted on Instagram. President Trump responding,
people like Comey have created tremendous danger, I think, for politicians and others.
CBS News Brief, I'm Jennifer Kuiper.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. CordellCordell.com.
Pittsburgh and Cranberry Township. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
Planning for retirement isn't easy. If you don't know where to start, join Beth Andrews of Net Worth Advisors every Saturday at 1 for the Net Worth Financial Hour. Beth shares helpful tips and strategies that just might change the course of your retirement. Listen every Saturday at 1 to the Net Worth Financial Hour with Beth Andrews of Net Worth Advisors. Net Worth Advisors, LLC, is a registered investment advisor.
Suffering from peripheral neuropathy? Learn how over 15,000 sufferers regained their comfort, mobility, and quality of life with Tri-State Neuropathy Center's successful treatment plan that is FDA cleared, non-invasive, and drug-free. Here's Sean Ritchie, DC, and Tri-State's founder, about one of their many satisfied patients.
One thing I like about having the most effective treatment protocol on the market for peripheral neuropathy is the stories that we hear. Like Karen from Export, she suffered with neuropathy for 3 years, and it got so bad that she couldn't even wear her normal shoes. In fact, she got rid of them and can only wear Skechers. After going through the program, now she's able to wear any shoes she wants, and she's very disappointed that she got rid of all her other shoes.
Tri-State Neuropathy Centers helped Karen. Let them help you next. Call 724-940-9000 for an initial free consultation. That's 724-940-9000. Tri-State Neuropathy Centers, the leader in treating peripheral neuropathy. Learn more at marydanston.com.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
As the rain and thunderstorms move out, we'll have lingering clouds tonight, low 44. Partly sunny with a brief shower tomorrow, a cooler day, high 53. Still cool with some sunshine and maybe a shower Friday, high 52. For AccuWeather, I'm Brian Thompson at 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
All right. So when I talk to somebody who gives you information like Jack Manning, I get excited. I do. But I do worry about whether or not we have the people that can actually do the work. I mean, it's something to think about, is it not? Do we have the people to do the work? And what worries me is I think we have all, lulled ourselves into a false sense of security that, we have the ability to do the work. And I don't know if we do. And what worries me is that now more than ever, we need to start training young people, men and women, about, working with their hands, building, creating, fixing, right? And that's why this open house with the Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters Saturday, in which I'm going to be broadcasting my entire Saturday show there from 5 in the morning until noon, right up until Minority Health Matters, is so important. I mean, Jack Manning was talking about billions of dollars. I mean, billions of dollars worth of work coming our way. And I'll be honest, the old Nova Chemical, I had no idea about it. And I think most of you know, back in the day, I was really a fan of the railroad industry and was really plugged into it. I mean, from Warren Buffett owning BNSF, which is one of the big 5 railroads in the country, talking about, CSX, Norfolk Southern, and what they really have meant to this region. I've said about Royal Dutch Shell, what's amazing to me, they have their own rail yard to actually compete with Conway Yards, which at one time in Conway, Pennsylvania, was the largest railroad yard in the country. I mean, I never knew anything about what was going on that Jack just told me about. So that means it's going to be one big repair shop for everything that's happening in the railroad industry. And it tells me now that there must be something to Union Pacific, which would be a massive win for this region. I mean, massive win. That's the largest railroad in the country. So there's so many exciting things, and I just hope we have young people who are thinking about actually getting into the building trades. And listen, if they're with you right now and you're listening to this show, take them to the open house on Saturday. Bring them, introduce them to me. I'd love to meet the family, but I really want you to meet the carpenters and what they have to offer. You see, everything that Jack and I talked about, the carpenters, the building trades are involved. Electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, steam fitters, they're all involved. And if we can get more people working in these type of jobs, a lot of the problems that we have in this region will get solved. So what I'm saying to you is you can't hope that it gets facilitated by a Democrat or Republican. You have to do it yourself. And how do you do it? By picking your children up and leading them in the right direction, something we got hot and heavy on last night. And I simply said, if we let AI take over our country, we have nobody to blame but ourselves. And let me just tell you how really disappointed I am in you, as I would be me, when I simply gave you the opportunity to tee off on anybody but Trump or the Republican Party. That means it was wide open for you Democrats. Not one of you jumped in. I gave you 5 different names. I was even talking about Wes Moore. I would vote for that guy in a heartbeat. He would be such a shining example of what the Democratic Party stands for and what it should be. And one of the things that he said in the interview is so true, and I think I'm a good example of that. I may be a Democrat, but you don't hear me basically Democrat or Democratic or liberal or leftist 101. It's not that with me. It's not. And when I see somebody working for a better America, which I have seen Donald Trump, even though it's tough to take sometime, I'm going to promote it. But for those of you who have said everything in the way of no, 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 you don't like one thing he has done, and you actually hope that he fails, even if it means the country fails, just to see him fail, if you get an opportunity like I gave you about an hour ago to give me a name of who would be a great challenger for the Republican Party in 2028, we didn't even have any calls for Josh Shapiro. And all the Republicans who call and say all the time, you're a one-trick pony, maybe they're on to something. Maybe they're on to something. 866-391-1020. President Trump visited the cracker plant. President Trump got the U.S. Steel-Nippon steel deal to the finish line and got a golden ticket for the U.S. of A. Look, he's rough around the edges, all edges. And he puts me on the edge of my seat more times than not. I'm like, don't mess it up. Walk away from the microphone. You've said enough. Don't say anything else. And as much as I was banging on this hate speak in late night television, he needs to straighten up his act too. We need to be coming together to laugh about funny stuff, but we need to get serious about what's happening in the real world. Look, I had a commissioner from tiny Beaver County in 2 segments give you so much good. I didn't realize it was 2 projects in one. I didn't realize that, and I live in Beaver County. That's why I brought him here tonight. All good in the neighborhood, so let's help each other. 866-391-1020. Ted, Mount Washington, good evening and welcome to KDKA.
What's going on, Rob?
Always good going on in my neighborhood. How about yours?
Oh, fantastic. Hey, I love that interview.
He was great, wasn't he?
He's fantastic. I wish Allegheny County gets back together. It's about making jobs.
Listen, Jack Manning, you know, and by the way, you know where he came from? He ran the Beaver Chamber. So he knows business and he knows industry, and we're lucky to have him in Beaver County. So go ahead.
You're very lucky. But real quick about AI and AI centers. I told you this is going to be a political issue. Both parties are not really addressing it. But the one guy it really is Andrew Yang, and I agree with him. Look, you need to put a tax on AI centers because, for one thing, they're going to displace jobs. They're flat out going to displace jobs. Put a small tax on them. You can get the revenue from them. You can help your community out. I think it's a brilliant idea. Tax the bots.
Okay. What else?
You know, as far as politics, look, I get you when you talk about the Democrat Party. There's no leadership. There's no idea. Right now, they're just not. Wes Moore is having problems in Maryland because a lot of people move from Maryland because of high taxes. You're just not going to win on that. And the one thing from Reagan to Trump, and I'll be honest, Rob, I really don't like Democrat and Republicans have been doing this, is bailouts. Okay? But this president is no better than Biden trying to bail out school loans. This guy wants to bail out another failing airport. I mean, as far as like an airplane company, Sprint. Shouldn't be doing that. I didn't like when he bailed out Intel. This is not capitalism, Rob. Okay? This is some kind of Frankenstein monster masquerading as capitalism. And I don't know when this will, end with these presidents. If you give them a sheet of paper and say, hey, no more bailouts, they probably wouldn't sign it. So both parties are doing this. And also, insider trading. That is becoming
that's got to end. That's got to end. You can't go in. You can't go in with a couple of $1,000 in your bank account and within a few years leave a millionaire. That's not right.
Absolutely. And the average taxpayer not paying attention to what these guys are doing. So they're getting caught up in the tribal rhetoric, but don't understand that taxpayers on the hook for all this. It's like I said, the lastly is our deficit. It's out of control. We need to stop cutting. We need to cut spending quick. You look what's going on in New York. It's an absolute mess. Regardless of your party, socialism just doesn't work. You got to cut the spending. We got to get back to balanced budgets. I mean, look, Corey, I give him a lot of credit. He's trying to do that in Pittsburgh. But, we need to take a serious look at where our money is going as taxpayers and need to start making cuts. The quicker we do it, the better we'll be.
All right, let me share this with you, and this will kind of spur some other callers, I'm sure, and I've got Andy on the other side of the break. This is from a post called All About Country. Terrence K. Williams to Jimmy Kimmel. He is a comedian, and I know him, and I have listened, and I've seen him on social media, but he says, I'm a comedian. I've made fun of Joe Biden. I've made fun of Michelle Obama. I've roasted first ladies before, but I have never in my life joked about Joe Biden becoming a widow or Michelle Obama becoming a widow. I've never joked about Joe Biden or Barack Obama having an attempt made on their life. I never laughed at the thought of their wives standing there in fear, wondering if their husband is going to make it home alive, because that is not comedy. That is sick. These are his words now. You could have joked about Melania being married to Trump. You could have joked about politics. You could have even gone after her accent like liberals usually do. But no, you choose to joke about Melania Trump becoming a widow. And let's be honest, Jimmy, when you hate Donald Trump as much as you do, that doesn't sound like a joke. It sounds like how you really feel. They always say there is truth in comedy. So, look, Jimmy Kimmel better figure it out, because not only is his career in the balance, but the American landscape. We can't afford to lose any more things that are traditional. I was watching some clips earlier today of Jimmy Fallon, as I always do, and he's funny. He was interviewing, Tom Hanks' son and all this other stuff, and I thought to myself, I can't imagine life without The Tonight Show. But do you understand that we are pushing away from so many things that made us who we are? I mean, even nightly newscasts from the networks, they're essential. The Sunday morning magazine shows, they're essential. That's why talk show and what we are doing at places like Odyssey have never been more important. People need to stand up and speak out on what they want to hang on to. I don't want to lose any more things that made America great the first time. Ted?
Well, I agree with you on that. But see, here's the biggest thing. You know what? I may totally dislike what you just said, but you have the First Amendment.
That's it.
Okay? The First Amendment is for everyone. Absolutely for everyone. I may totally dislike what you're saying and everything else. But look, there are limits to it. Okay? I mean, you have the right to say what you want. I have the right to say what you want. It doesn't mean your employer is going to agree with you. So it's up to Disney what they're going to, what decision are they going to make. It's up to them, because at the end of the day, as I know it, it's about, clicks and eyeballs. Because even if it's bad news, guess what? Kimball is probably more popular than ever, especially if he gets fired. You know it as I know it. So the more people go after him, the higher the ratings are going to be. That's how it works. So Disney's not stupid. So the more people want his job, the more people are going to tune in. So that's how he's going to play it. Absolutely, that's how he's going to play it. And that's entertainment. I'm being honest. It's showbiz. May not like what the man says, but if you don't like a foul-mouthed comedian, you don't have to watch. Look, I loved Andrew Dice Clay, but he's a classic foul-mouthed comedian. What is the purpose of a comedian? To offend. That is their purpose. That's what they do. So if we're going to go that route with one comedian, then we should do it for everyone, because that's what they do. You can't go to a school to learn how to be a comedian. Okay? Entertainment. So if you don't like the guy, you do not have to tune in to watch him.
Well, bottom line is I still think you have to have respect for everything in life, especially human life. All right, take a break right now. We'll come back. Andy on the other side. More are welcomed at 866-391-1020. Your Pratt Pack until 10 o'clock. KDKA.
Every Tuesday morning at 7:20, listen for Inside Independence Health, a look at all things healthcare with the experts from Independence Health System. It's brought to you by Independence Health System. Expert care here.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Last year, I had back pain radiating down my right leg. The pain was so bad I was willing to cut my leg off to stop the pain. I could barely walk and had to stoop over when I did just to take pressure off the spine. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. In my professional career, I've represented thousands of people who've had herniated discs and issues with their neck and back, but never fully appreciated what they were going through until it was my turn. It's like trying to describe colors to a blind person who's never had sight. All I can tell you is it hurt like hell, but worse. My daily walk was gone, and that bothered me a great deal. Then I thought of all of you and how much more devastating this type of injury could be for you. My life stopped. I now feel your pain. Just know at Morgan & Morgan, we got your back. I understand. Morgan means more.
Morgan & Morgan, 603 Stanwyck Street, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania lawyer will handle Pennsylvania cases. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
I still remember the first time CertaPro painters did their magic in my kitchen. Professional, beautiful, no worry. Loved everything about it. So there was the next room, and even outside. And know that each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated right here in our community. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. It's so easy. And take advantage of the spring sales event for 10% off qualifying projects through May 15th. So go with CertaPro Painters.
SchultzFord.com. 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 SchultzFord.com.
Everything you need, every time you listen. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
Here he is, direct from Butler, Pennsylvania. He is our regular, and we appreciate him. He is Andy. Andy, welcome to the show with your Pratt Pack KDKA on a Wednesday night. How are you?
I'm good, Rob. Thank you for asking, and thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
Real quick on Mr. Kimmel, all right? As Ted said, the purpose of a comedian is to offend, all right? And if you really believe that, then tell me why we don't have comedians doing blackface anymore. And the answer to that, obviously, is because that's over the line.
Disgusting, yep.
Thank you, all right? And so was Mr. Kimmel and his, quote, joke, which he felt he had to come back on after the assassination attempt and clarify.
Should have let it go.
If you have to clarify a joke, right, if you have to clarify a joke, it wasn't a joke. If you have to justify your joke, it means nobody got it. It wasn't a joke. All right? So I look forward to Mr. Kimmel, because he did it before, okay, doing his show some night in blackface, because, the purpose of a comedian is to offend.
Well, God forbid he would be that stupid, which he will never do. I pray that no one ever does that again. All right, what else is on your mind? Go ahead.
Okay. So, look, you asked earlier for, you opened it up for anybody that, give their whoever, to go against Trump, and you got nobody.
Nobody. Okay? Not one. Oh, I had Gary. I did. I had one.
You had one. You're right. You did, because I heard him. Okay? So I'll tell you who you're going to get, all right, against Trump. I don't know who you're going to get in the California governor's election. That's still kind of a toss-up. I think it'll be I think the toss-up will end up being one Republican, one Democrat, because they only go with the top two, and you've got so many Democrats in the field, they're splitting the vote. And out of that, I think you'll get whoever the Democrat is. I think that's who will win the governorship in California. But that's kind of the story of the whole Democratic Party, Rob. It's whoever the nominee is, okay? Not that we're going to go out and get a nominee. We're just going to accept whatever nominee there is. So for president next time, pretty sure you're going to have Gavin Newsom. All right? He's Ken and Barbie. He kind of fits your party. He hasn't really got a record in California. He's running away from it. But I'll tell you who you won't get, okay? You won't get Governor Shapiro. That's not going to happen. And the reason why that's not going to happen is, Rob, is your party hates Jews, all right? Look at Mondami in New York and some of the legislation he's already passed. Look at some of the other people running for Senate seats under the Democratic Party and the people you've got. So you're not going to get Shapiro because he's too Jewish.
Well, in my humble opinion, I love the Jewish community, and he would get my vote. One of the main reasons is because he is Jewish. They used to say the same thing about JFK, who became the first Roman Catholic president. I think Josh Shapiro, Andy, I got to get to a break, but I think Josh Shapiro is the only hope we have. Let me give you about 30 seconds to summarize. What else?
Well, I told you before, the person I don't want to face is Josh Shapiro, and I'm pretty confident that I won't.
All right, well, let's see. I beg to differ. I think he's the clear-cut favorite, and I would love to see the first Jewish president in America. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I love my party, and I will stay with my party, but I guarantee you, I'll be thinking on the way home tonight when I put the ball right on the tee for you to swing away. I said, who would you like to see challenge the Republican in the 2028 election? The same people who have said to me they believe Donald Trump's going to run for a third term, and I simply said that's not going to happen. And nobody even had a name but Gary, the only one. All of the naysayers and those who bash Donald Trump and the Republican Party every night had none. Now, let me flip the switch, and I'm going to challenge you, Democrats, one more time. Let me say to you, members of the Republican Party, who would you like to see be the Republican nominee in 2028? Who do you Republicans think gives you the best chance to succeed post-Donald Trump? Now, what are you Democrats going to say if the phones light up and I hear from all of these Republicans? You know what you're going to say? You did it. The fix is in. No. I don't control the phones. Okay? I don't control the phones. That's totally up to you. You've got to get out that index finger and start dialing 866-391-1020. So I gave you Democrats a chance to talk about who you would like to challenge the Republican Party in 2028. I got one. And I gave my 5 choices. But now let me say to you Republicans, who do you think will give you the best chance to stay the course in 2028? There is people like J.D. Vance out there. There's Marco Rubio out there. What would be the perfect ticket? And Democrats, if you get outnumbered in the first segment by Republicans, shame on you because you had a chance. 866-391-1020. 866-391-1020 is the number to dial. We'll be right back with more of your phone calls as we get ready for hour number 4 with your Pratt Pack tonight on KDKA.
The Village at St. Barnabas, the perfect place for moms.
Head to PNC Park on Sunday, May 3rd for the first family fun day of the season when the Bucks take on the Cincinnati Reds at 1:35 p.m. Arrive at PNC Park early to enjoy the Family Fun Zone on Federal Street, presented by C&M Play Studio with fun for the entire family. Plus, all kids 14 and under take home a Pirates-themed comic book in honor of Superhero Day. And be sure to stay after the game for Kids Run the Bases, presented by Chicken of the Sea. Get more info at pirates.com/familyfundays.
Beat the spring cleaning rush with Zero Res this week. Get 1 room of carpet cleaned, get another room cleaned for free. Unlimited rooms and whole system duct cleaning, now just $5.99. But hurry, visit ZeroResPGH.com.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We asked parents to share their journey of adopting teens.
They changed who I am because I can't see life without them in it.
Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. Brought to you by Adopt U.S. Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA. Covered by JP Roofing and Siding. Pittsburgh's #1 platinum roofing company.
The Carpenters Training Center is holding its annual open house on Saturday, May 2nd. Doors open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bring the whole family and enjoy food, prizes, and Kids Corner. Their 4-year apprenticeship program is tuition-free, and you will earn competitive wages and benefits while you learn. Information sessions begin at 9 a.m. and noon. Learn about a career in the union building trades, as well as the pre-apprenticeship program. Join them Saturday, May 2nd, as 4th-year apprentices from their 6 crafts participate in competitions and demonstrations. Find out more at eascarpenterstech.edu.
Starting a home improvement project? Before you build a deck, plant a tree, or put up a fence, remember to call 811. Professionals from underground utilities like Peoples will mark your lines with flags so you can dig safely. Whether you're doing the work yourself or hiring a professional, calling 811 before you dig is free for homeowners. And it's the law. Call 811 3 days before you dig to keep you and your family safe. Peoples, an essential utilities company.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
KDKA and KDKA-FM HD2 Pittsburgh. W261AX Pittsburgh.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Aetna Medicare studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Michael Toscano. The Supreme Court struck down Louisiana's second majority black congressional district in a decision that could open the door for Republican-led states to eliminate districts favoring Democrats. Louisiana's Republican governor, Jeff Landry.
I think that many on the left have used the Voting Rights Act in Section 2 to basically take away the will of certain legislators, depending upon whether that legislature was majority Republican control or majority Democrat.
But Georgia Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock has a different view.
This Trump Supreme Court just threw out the protections that were earned by the civil rights movement. Those who bled, who fought, and who died, so that people might have a voice.
The effect of the ruling may be felt more strongly in 2028 because most filing deadlines for this year's congressional races have passed. A U.S. official confirmed to CBS News that the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier and its strike group are expected to leave the Middle East in the coming days. CBS's Aaron Navarro, meanwhile, is following U.S.-Iran negotiations.
According to President Trump, at least from what he said in the Oval Office, is that the talks are happening right now. They're just happening over the phone. At one point, he said that he did not want to keep sending representatives from the United States on an 18-hour flight to the Middle East just to hear an offer that the U.S. likely won't like.
Jerome Powell says he'll remain on the board of the Federal Reserve after his term as chairman ends next month, following the Department of Justice dropping a probe into his role in a Fed construction project.
I've said that I will not leave the board until this investigation is well and truly over, with transparency and finality, and I stand by that. I'm encouraged by recent developments, and I'm watching the remaining steps in this process carefully.
The Fed today left its benchmark interest rate unchanged. There was a close call between a United Airlines jet and a drone just before touchdown in San Diego. Transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
There were initial reports about a potential collision, but it now appears the suspected drone likely passed below the plane. Drones are not supposed to fly above 400 feet, so it should not have been anywhere near an airliner descending to land, but it does happen. Last year, there were more than 1,850 drone sightings around airports reported to the FAA. But actual collisions are extremely rare.
There was a rare sight at a University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign campus today. A cow was seen roaming around.
I was just doing some homework and I got a text in one of my group chats that there was a cow running around on the quad. I biked out as fast as I could and we just watched them load this cow up.
And that cow is reportedly doing fine. This is CBS News.
Every Sunday, moderator Margaret Brennan goes face-to-face with top leaders to make you better informed. Face the Nation, Sunday on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
At age 100, Dick Van Dyke's still making the scene.
A tiny endangered monkey and a giant anteater have become BFFs. The monkey is a golden-headed lion tamarin named Bosny. She was confiscated from smugglers and was brought to the zoo. This species usually lives in family groups, but there are no other tamarins there. So she quickly became attached to Ricardo. He's a South American Tamandua anteater nearly 20 times her size. Zoo staff says this unique bond reflects the monkey's need for social contact after being separated from her family too early. Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
The families of 5 children and an adult in a school shooting in Canada's British Columbia are suing artificial intelligence company OpenAI in a U.S. federal court. The suit alleges the ChatGPT maker failed to alert police to the shooter's alarming interactions with the chatbot. Michael Toscano, CBS News.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred roofing replacement contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
As the rain moves out, we'll still have a fair amount of clouds tonight, a low of 44. A cooler day tomorrow with sun and clouds. We'll turn breezy in the afternoon with a brief shower, high 53. Maybe a shower in spots late tomorrow night. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Brian Thompson, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
All right, phones are jumping a little bit here, so we gave Democrats another chance to give me some names that could challenge for the presidency in 2028, and I'm playing fair and balanced, so you Republicans have a chance now to say who you would like to see be on that ticket in 2028 representing your party. Here's Craig in West Virginia. I thought I was going to get through a night without hearing from you, Craig, so I'm glad you decided to call in, and welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm catching a rumor on the internet that KDK is going to make a Craig from West Virginia bobblehead. Is that true? Is that
listen, it got my vote.
All right. You know, we've been hearing
a punching bag, depending on where you're coming from. But anyway, go ahead.
You know, they actually had to take one of Donald Trump's wax museums down because people kept knocking their head off. That's a true story.
Listen, and I did say, and I've said it again, as much as we want to criticize Kimmel, the president needs to dial it back as well, too. And I think if he would let some of this stuff roll off, I'm not saying it's right, but he would let some of it roll off his back, I think a lot of this stuff would go away. But so I am being fair and balanced there, too, as well. So go ahead.
All right. Yeah, Robert Mueller does have a wife. We heard Trump's verbiage.
Yep.
Glad he's dead. Rob Reiner has 3 children. I guess, one of them is more than likely, but the other 2, you have to think about
listen. Rob Reiner, God rest his soul, but he used to throw some fastballs at the president, too. So let's get beyond that. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, all right, we'll talk about Wes Moore. I think he's fantastic. I've been watching him since way back. But the comment about Shapiro not being a candidate, that's 100% true. But the reasons that Andy gave were 100% false. Yeah. I have zero, as I said before, I had a Jewish roommate when I lived in Pittsburgh for 3 years. We were a fantastic kid. I have an issue with Benjamin Netanyahu. And here's the part, and I want you to go back and look at Shapiro on, what was that show? Bill Maher's show. Look at Shapiro a couple weeks ago on there, and that's where he lost my vote. And here's why. There were 70 to 80,000 women and children killed in Gaza. And listen, I know they're going to go back to look what happened. I get it. I get all that. But for me to look at those women and children innocent being killed, and those children with just trying to get a cup of rice. A cup of rice was all they were fighting for. That doesn't make me anti-Semitic. It makes me a humanitarian. So I have nothing against the Jewish people. But because of the way that thing has played out, Shapiro can thank Netanyahu for not getting put in that place, because I think he would do a fantastic job. I truly do. But Mr. Shapiro can thank Netanyahu for not getting the nod on this, and that's what's going to happen. That's fine.
All right, so then well, listen, I will always stand for Israel, and there's more to that story than that. But you're right. No one wants to see innocent people killed, and that's what's happening in Iran. That's why I want that thing to come to an end. So we kind of differ, but we don't when it comes to humanitarian aspects of these stories. But let me just say this. Who do you think? Now, come on, there's no more Democrat in the room than you. I'm surprised more people haven't called tonight, and I did have somebody from West Mifflin who said Rubio would be good, but they bailed on me. So I'm asking Republicans, too. I want to hear from people because I want to see that you're at least thinking. So who would you like to see the ticket be representing our party in 2028? Craig?
It's going to be Gavin Newsom. And the vice president, listen, Rob, if you do a deep dive on
I know. You've told me you like him, and I respect that, but go ahead.
And his vice president pick, I'd love to see Wes Moore, but the pick I want to see happen is Senator Murphy from Connecticut. This guy is a fighter. I mean, a get down in the trenches and fight. He did the same. He says the same thing that I said. I used to be like Michelle Obama. When they go low, you go high. Now my thing is when they go low, I'm going to go lower. And that's how you win the trench warfare. And that's the way Chris Murphy is. And that's the way Gavin Newsom is. Donald Trump just put out a new thing, a new passport for the 250th with his picture on it. So what did Gavin Newsom do? For the 250th in California, he put his picture on the driver's license. He is trolling Donald Trump like a champion, and it is hilarious. It is literally hilarious. So, listen, that's the type of fighter I want. I don't want no milquetoast. Listen, Kamala Harris was more than qualified. That was milquetoast. Joe Biden actually turned into milquetoast. I want a fighter this time. But once again, he ain't gonna run for a third term.
Whoa. Just slow down. You're going to get your chance. But here's the thing. One thing those two candidates have going for them, Newsom's 58 and Murphy's 52. I can live with that.
It's same here. But once again, like I said, he's not going to run for a third term. He isn't leaving. We have yet to see the bottom.
All right. Enough. I got to move on. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go to Kurt in Butler. Kurt, go ahead. You're on KDKA.
Hey, how's it going tonight?
Going good. How about you?
Oh, not too bad. Well, I heard this. I just got in my vehicle here, and I heard this talking about that Jimmy Kimmel ordeal.
Right.
Well, I 100% agree with you. You know, you have your First Amendment rights and everything, but there's kind of a line with that. I mean, I work in a steel mill. I can't go into work and say anything I want to say. I get fired for doing that.
Yeah, you got to listen, Kurt. You got to be respectful. Everybody involved right now in this country who is in a position that they have a voice, and that includes me, it includes you, it includes this great brand, this conversation that is talk radio, and I get frustrated. And I shouldn't be saying this, but it always seems as though when I come down to the last few minutes of my show, some knucklehead's got to, try to get a bad word, as my mother used to say, that needed to have their mouth washed out with soap. I mean, if not for anything, remember, there are children and young people that are listening to the radio right now like I did. So the only way we teach future generations to be more normal is by simply asking adults to be more normal. So what you're saying is spot on.
Yeah, and it's like, I've listened to your show enough that I've heard that. And it's like, I worked in the gas field too, and it's like, you want to hear some ignorant things being said.
Yeah. I get it. Listen, my father, when I visited him at the mill that he worked at, I heard things coming out of adult mouths that I never heard in my life. So we got to reel it in. You're absolutely right about that. All right, let's get to Bishop in Denora. Then we got Kurt in Vanport. This is a good topic. I'd love to hear from you. And again, who do you want representing your party in 2028? And President Trump is not running for a third term, and he's not leaving. He will be gone. I mean, he's not staying. He is leaving. 866-391-1020. Bishop, go ahead, sir.
All right, here we go. And I got another point. Listen, I would love to see. I'm kind of warm on Newsom, but I like Shapiro. I always like the Shapiro and Governor Moore ticket, in my opinion.
Be great.
But it's between those three, with an outside chance of the governor of Michigan, Whitmer, being a vice president. But the ideal ticket that I'm sticking with and still will stick with is Shapiro and Moore, in my opinion. Number two is Mr. Pratt. These gas prices. And this war. Listen, you know how much Bell Vernon, just tonight, gas prices, and you can't blame it on Biden now, $3.49.
Oh, it's under $4. It's under $4. I got to make a mad dash.
No, I'll take that back. It's not $3.49. It's $4.49.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, everybody's heading to Bell Vernon right now.
Yeah, it's $4.49 in Bell Vernon, and then I went to on 51 in Bell Vernon, and it's $3.39 at the BP. Listen, this cannot keep going. As the American people cannot afford to even go to work, vacations, businesses. And you want to talk about layoffs, and we're trying to, as you would say, build up Western Pennsylvania, in particular with Pittsburgh. Can you imagine people having a hard time getting into the Pittsburgh with going up to $5 a gallon and vacations? This war has got to end. You know, we're spending about $1 billion a day. But to get to what your point is, I would go with Shapiro and Governor Moore. That's my opinion. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, I like it. All right, Kurt Vanport, you're next. Hey, all right, so now you have a chance. Republicans are starting to lap you a little bit here, and you had Craig to kind of pull you out of the fire, but where are the Democrats at? Who do you want to really represent your party in 2028? It's got to be Josh Shapiro. There's no other choice. I love the fact that he is Jewish. That's even more exciting to me as far as casting my vote. But I just think he is youthful. He understands law. He understands industry. And he's one of ours from Pennsylvania. How could you not want him? 866-391-1020. But if Wes Moore decides or somebody calls and says, we need you, look, I've known about him and I've listened and watched him, especially when that bridge collapsed. But watching him in this interview with Bill Maher today, fantastic. I mean, everything right out of the park. Good stuff. 866-391-1020. Kurt, you're next.
News, weather, traffic, and business every day. Hear it on News Radio KDKA.
Pittsburgh's very own board-certified and licensed hypnotherapist Dan Vitchoff of the PA Hypnosis Center is here to help you. He has helped train U.S. Olympic team members control their brains, stay relaxed, focused, and in control, giving them the edge for the gold. He's recognized by many organizations around the world as one of the top hypnotherapists anywhere. He has gotten over 3,000 people to give up cigarettes for good in the last 22 years. He's helped folks even who've tried gastric bypass to lose weight. He can help you and give you a 98% success guarantee. Call 724-934-8446. That's Dan Vitchoff, the PA Hypnosis Center. Mention KDKA and get $50 off any program. But call for a free consultation today, 724-934-8446. The PA Hypnosis Center with Dan Vitchoff. Make that call today, 724-934-8446.
Hi, this is Father Tom Burke of the Diocese of Pittsburgh. Join me for Catholic Education Plus as we listen to two teachers and how their story started in our Catholic school hallways and now they're side-by-side teaching. Catholic Education Plus airs this Sunday morning at 6:30 on KDKA Radio.
The amount of compensation received from a lung cancer or mesothelioma lawsuit varies. But at Pittsburgh-based Goldberg, Persky & White, the goal is simple. Maximize your recovery and ensure you receive the full compensation you deserve. Asbestos manufacturers spent decades concealing the dangers of asbestos exposure, and today, many suffering from lung cancer or mesothelioma are fighting back. You are not alone in this fight. Call GPW today at 1-800-COMPLEX to learn more.
Are you turning 65 and have questions about Medicare? Aetna has Medicare Advantage plans that include prescription drug coverage in Pennsylvania with a $0 monthly plan premium. Plus, the plans include benefits like dental, vision, and hearing. You may also qualify for a monthly credit toward your Part B premium. Call Aetna today at 1-888-76-AETNA to learn more.
Aetna Medicare is an HMO PPO plan with a Medicare contract. Our D-SNPs also have contracts with state Medicaid programs. Enrollment in our plans depends on contract renewal. Plan features and availability may vary by service area.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
Everything you need, every time you listen. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
All right, 866-391-1020. We're cooking here on the front burner. A lot of good stuff tonight. Let's go to Kurt in Vanport. J.D. Vance for president. So why is that the case, sir? Good evening.
Hear me out. I want to see J.D. Vance as president, and I want Trump to run as vice president.
Ooh.
Before anyone brings up anything about the constitutionality, yes, it does say that the vice president has to be eligible for president, but that was 150 years before there were term limits. So I don't think that would apply. Donald Trump could continue to run the country, basically, with J.D. Vance as president.
So why do you like J.D.? I'll be honest with you. I'd rather it be Marco Rubio, but I understand J.D. Vance. You're not the only one who feels that way. What do you like about him, Kurt?
I'm not the biggest fan of J.D. Vance, but I think that he would be more likely to give Donald Trump more leeway if Donald Trump were vice president.
All right, so let me ask you this, and I mean this with all due respect, because if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that I've been really giving thumbs up to President Trump for some time, as far as at least being on the job and working. But, listen, as much as I'm in pretty good shape right now and I still feel, young and chipper and got a good attitude, I am what I am. But I'm not the president of the United States. He would be well into his 80s, and if he were in the room, he'd be making the call, whether he be VP or not. I just think, and I mean this very respectful, I think he's just too old.
And I understand that, but maybe it's just me afraid, but I've never seen any or read about any president doing the amount, just the sheer volume of things that Donald Trump does, because he's not a politician. He didn't care. He'll go in there with an executive order and just do what he thinks is right. I mean, we'll never see another one. I don't think in either party anyone like Donald Trump that can just get everything he wants the way that he moves forward, and quickly. It's not this back and forth. It's not taking 6 months to have one bill come out. He gets things done in days and weeks, whereas, not to disparage Biden, who I did not like, but there was nothing done in 4 years. Whereas, Donald Trump did more in his, first 3 weeks than was done in the entire Biden term.
So let me ask you, and you kind of proved my point. By the way, Republicans right now are outshining you Democrats as far as who they would like to see on the ticket. We only had one really, well, count Craig, he's two, but he's a given, right? But Gary was the only one, but now we've had all these people, and I think this may be the first time I've ever talked to this Kurt or the other Kurt. But my question to you, Kurt, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 45.
Okay, so you're right in the wheelhouse. So you're the future. What do you see a young J.D. Vance, kind of your equal as far as chronological age, what do you think he can accomplish long-term with somebody like Donald Trump chirping in his ear? What do you think?
I think just continuing exactly what Donald Trump's been doing. I absolutely, like I said, I'm almost afraid of what happens when Donald Trump leaves. I don't see that that the Republican Party has anyone very strong. I do like Marco Rubio. But, like I said, there's never going to be anyone like Donald Trump again in terms of getting things done. And, he doesn't care what you think about it. He fights back. And I'm worried for the party when he leaves.
Well, do you realize what a lot of Democrats don't realize, unless they get a candidate like a Josh Shapiro, who I think is the only hope, because Gavin Newsom, that state is in big trouble in many aspects, and I'd hate to see that spread across the country. But if they don't reclaim the White House in 2028, they may not get back in there for 20 years.
Well, that's exactly what they said whenever Obama left office, that there may never be another Republican ever again. But I would love to see Gavin Newsom as the Democratic nominee, because he will go down in flames.
I think he will. I mean, I know Greg and them feel differently, and they have every right to, but he just doesn't do enough for me. You need somebody who can street fight and roll up their sleeves, and Shapiro's the one. But one thing about J.D. Vance, whether, I support the guy or not, and I am more of a Marco Rubio fan, he's done a lot for his young life. It's pretty incredible when you think about how he has ascended in the world of politics. It's incredible. It's an amazing story.
Absolutely, and he's still grounded, and I think that's one of the best things. He's not. I mean, like I said, I would love to see Gavin Newsom, just because he's a good-looking guy, but that's about all he has going for him. With all the disaster that's happening out in California. So yeah, I would love to see Gavin Newsom.
I don't know what you do for a living, but I had Beaver County Commissioner Jack Manning on earlier, and we were talking about the data center, and we were talking about the Shell plant, and you live in the shadow of it in that great community of Vanport. Do you see a lot of the good things that are happening in Beaver County like I do?
Oh my goodness, it's night and day. From the Shell plant. We have people complaining about noise or environmental fears.
Stop
I'll tell you what. No, it's fantastic. About, 15 years ago, my sister was married. There was no place to have a wedding. There were no hotels. There was the Willows down in Industry. Now there are 8 or 10 hotels just in Center Township.
Well, let me tell you, that Willows is a showpiece now. And if I were planning another wedding, which I'm not, that would be the place. Yeah, that place is, it's incredible. It's a showpiece. And I knew the man that built it originally. And if he could see it, Mr. Sindrich, he'd be doing cartwheels. It's gorgeous. But you're right. We have like 8 to 9 and maybe even 10 hotels within a few miles from where you live. And during the draft, they were all occupied. And now we have this data center that's going to be built. And also they're going to take the Bruce Mansfield plant, as I heard Jack say tonight, and utilize it. We're going to have a lot of building people that have to come here and work full-time back into those hotels. One of the reasons they were built because of that Shell cracker plant. So I think Beaver County is really a bright light being led by, of course, people like Shell and others. I think there's a lot to get excited about. That's why we need people in office at all levels who understand the only way to build back is building back America and making it why it was great the first time, an industrial leader. And if we don't take advantage of this natural gas, we're never going to get an opportunity like this again. Never.
Exactly. Beaver County has gotten so much from Shell, and I expect the same exact thing to happen with the data center and with the change the Bruce Mansfield plant. It's the economy around here. And you know what it was like in the 80s. My grandfather was a steel worker. And just now, it's amazing. The shopping centers, the restaurants that are everywhere. It's like I said, it's night and day from what it used to be.
So, okay, I appreciate you. I got to ask you, though, what does a 45-year-old person like you do for a living? Because I'm curious. You seem really plugged into politics and industry. What do you do?
I'm an attorney.
My man. Well, you sound like you're an attorney. You did a great job. You've never called me before, have you?
I've called a couple times. I might have said Beaver instead of Vanport. Okay.
Well, listen, Kurt, keep doing what you're doing. I think Beaver County has a lot of hope with young people like you out there discussing topics. Appreciate it. The other person who I said would be on my ticket, if not in 2028, 4 years after the fact, I think she is a shining star in the Republican Party, Carolyn Leavitt. I think, man, she would make a great candidate, maybe at the U.S. Senate level or maybe Congress or something. But if I am a person who wants youth to be served, forget about whether I'm a Democrat or Republican. We need more people like her. She really has done.
She's another one that's not afraid to fight.
No, she's done an incredible job. All right.
And that's what we need. That's
hey,
exactly
listen, take care of yourself. Appreciate you. Listen, I'll be honest. Speaking of attorneys, I'm kind of sad that Pam Bondi didn't get a chance to continue to be Attorney General. I thought she was doing a great job. All right, look, good half hour to go. Plenty of time for you to jump on board. I was thinking about something else today. It's obviously a little bit lighthearted, but I just wanted to talk about it for a minute. I was thinking about my first dog today, and don't ask me why. I had this dog for 17 years. Dog's name was Shawnee, named after Elizabeth Taylor, the late actress's dog. My mother loved Elizabeth Taylor. She had a dog named Shawnee. We named our dog Shawnee. Was a toy collie. And, I've been seeing all these videos that go viral with people and their dogs of all size, shapes, makes, and model, and different pets, and obviously cats, and people love pets, right? So I just thought to myself, it might be kind of nice. How many of you remember your first dog or your first pet? And as I was thinking about this pet today, I thought how that pet came into my life at such a young age and was with me all the way through my adolescence, into my 20s, and this dog died in 1982, and I had that dog from the time I was a young child, and how that dog, all these years later, it's still very important to me. So your first pet, do you remember what it was, what their name was, and your connection to them? Got a lot of good memories about that dog. That dog was a big part of my life, and must have been because I'm still thinking about that dog all these years later. 866-391-1020.
Honey, I found the perfect place for my parents and us.
Where?
St. Barnabas. For us, the Woodlands Carriage Home Community. And for my parents, condominium-style living at the Village. My folks will love the Village. There's an indoor mall with shops, restaurants, and more. And we can relax, knowing they're safe and secure.
That's what I plan to do when we move to St. Barnabas. Relax.
Call 724-444-5568 or visit stbarnabascommunities.com.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. CordellCordell.com.
Pittsburgh and Cranberry Township. Joseph Cordell. Licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
Tune in this Sunday morning at 8 for the Coons Cooking Hour with Rob Pratt and the Coons Market team when they discuss beef recipes with lean, budget-friendly cuts. It's the Coons Cooking Hour, presented by Coons Market, your hometown Pittsburgh grocer.
It's Marty Griffin. I have seen so much anger these days. You know what's overwhelmed me with joy and optimism? This Get Marty. The folks in this community that have stepped up. You can't help your neighbor if you hate your neighbor. Get Marty epitomizes that opportunity to help people, feed people, clothe people, educate people. If you need me, get Marty at KDKRadio.com. It's where we will find a way to help you.
Presented by UPMC Health System, Bill DeLuceni and Associates, Cousins Roofing, Siding and Decks, and by Harold Shepley and Associates. From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
CBS News Brief. The Supreme Court struck down Louisiana's congressional map that includes 2 majority black districts, narrowing the Voting Rights Act. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson.
If you look at what the dissent is saying, the dissent would say that this is a big rollback of the promises of the Voting Rights Act, that this makes it difficult to protect people's right to vote.
CBS's Aaron Navarro reports President Trump says talks with Iran are happening by
President
phone.
Trump said that Iran has to, quote, cry uncle and capitulate to his demand that they give up on ever-enriching uranium that will enable them to build a nuclear weapon.
Fed Chairman Jerome Powell says he'll stay on the board after his term as chairman ends next
I worry
month.
that these attacks are battering the institution and putting at risk the thing that really matters to the public, which is the ability to conduct monetary policy without taking into consideration political factors.
CBS News Brief. I'm Michael Toscano.
The popularity of cremation is on the rise. Unfortunately, so is the cost. I'm Dustin D'Alessandro, supervisor and funeral director. To keep the costs down, the Thomas M. Smith Funeral Home and Crematory Limited in Blawnox and the D'Alessandro Funeral Home and Crematory Limited in Lawrenceville have on-site crematories. By performing the cremation on-site without losing custody of the remains, our funeral homes can defray those costs and pass the savings on to you. Our fee for a direct cremation is only $1,250. This low-cost, direct cremation offer is available to all residents of Allegheny County. Surrounding counties will incur a slight additional fee, based on mileage. Contact us with questions or to schedule an appointment by calling the Blawnox office at 412-828-5700 or our Lawrenceville office at 412-682-6500. Our websites are thomasmsmithfuneralhome.com and delisandroltd.com.
If you're carrying a lot of credit card or personal loan debt, every month can start to feel the same. All those bills, all those due dates, all that stress. There's a solution that's designed to make it easier for you. National Debt Relief could put you on the fast track to paying off your credit card debt, personal loans, and even medical debt for less than you owe, with just one low monthly payment you can afford. And no, it's not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. It's a real, affordable debt relief program that could save you lots of money. National Debt Relief has already helped over 1 million people with their debt and has thousands of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. So if you owe $10,000 or more, don't wait. Call 800-300-4411 now to see if you qualify. That's 800-300-4411. One call could help reduce what you owe and simplify your monthly payments. Call 800-300-4411 now to find out how much you could save.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred roofing replacement contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
As the rain and thunderstorms move out, we'll have lingering clouds tonight, low 44. Partly sunny with a brief shower tomorrow, a cooler day, high 53. Still cool with some sunshine and maybe a shower Friday, high 52. For AccuWeather, I'm Brian Thompson at 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Hi, this is Larry Richard. Join us at the Big K Morning Show tomorrow, 5:30 until 10. We'll talk to Bill Hillgrove about the passing of broadcast legend Ray Goss of Duquesne University.
All right, your Pratt Pack wrapping it up tonight. And as I mentioned, I wanted to kind of do something. I like to kind of sprinkle in some lighthearted stuff. And your first pet, okay, is my dog. I mean, I just had this stream of consciousness, and my dog was on my mind today. And I was driving in, and I was kind of going over some mental notes and some things I had written down earlier in the home studio that we were blogging about, some of the headlines, what have you. And there was all this serious stuff, and I literally was in traffic, and all of a sudden I started thinking about my dog. And I noticed how everything on social media that has to do with a pet or wildlife must be the algorithms, because I love animals, obviously, but how that dog that I had, who passed away in 1982 on February 12th, that's how much I love that dog. I stepped out of the shower and had a heart attack and was there in front of me. And I remember my father, really a tough guy, you know. The dog became his best friend. They did so much together. And when that dog died, my dad was in tears. He was walking down the sidewalk, cradling this dog, taking the dog to a cemetery plot that he had purchased, that dog is buried in to this day. And we can go visit if need be. And I just thought, there's got to be more people that every once in a while, even though you may have a current pet and you love it, whatever it may be, there was that first pet that you gravitated towards. And we had cats all the time. We actually had birds. We had a little bit of everything. But how many of you still think about your first pet? And I got to tell you, that was some of the best years of my life. And it was really kind of a difficult death, because that dog, I mean, it's unconditional love. That dog was always there. How many nights we spent watching television, or that first night at school, or, you know, the holidays, you know, just the dog was always there underneath the dining room table when we were eating, and how the dog was part of the conversation. And you would hear that dog's name mentioned all night. Middle of the night, somebody would say, "Hey, Shawnee." I mean, it was just a part of our family. It was like one of us. All right, Helen, Forest Hills. First pet. Go ahead, Helen.
His name was Tubby. Tubby. He was an orange cat.
Aww.
And I was 6 years old when the family got him, and he died at 14. And, of course, everybody in the family was sick. You know, my mother and dad, my brother. And I didn't go to school the next day. In the morning, my brother took me at lunchtime. And I remember Tubby, and so that rang a bell.
Yeah, I mean, it's connected to you. And I think the older you get, it's crazy, but certain family members kind of fade. And sadly, as I mentioned, even my parents, who I adore, they've been gone for so long. You know, I can't see them in my mind as I once did. But when I was thinking about my dog today, it was like I could see him coming up the sidewalk. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff, Helen. Thank you. All right, first pet. Let's go to Lee, somewhere in Pittsburgh. Lee, first pet, a dog. What was it?
It was a mixture of a fox terrier and a beagle. He was a litter from a friend of my sister's. That friend's dog had puppies that we had to fight to convince my parents that we wanted it, needed it, whatever. We finally got the dog. And I have a quick story. Rob, you know me, I have a disability.
Yep.
That's the Lee. And the dog would kick his water dish in the kitchen. And so from everywhere in the top floor, we could hear when he needed water. Well, if I was by myself at the house, I was the only one that could provide him water. So he would do what he always does, walk to the kitchen with his paw, kick the water dish, and he would wait until I patiently got to the kitchen, held on to the countertop, and I pushed the water dish over to the sink, and I had to squat down and pick it up to, put water in it and put it back down on the floor. But that dog was so patient, waiting until I got that right where I could reach it, and he knew exactly to wait until I was able to safely put it back on the floor for him to drink. And then he, took the drink. But I was impressed with how he learned to be patient with me while I provided him the help that he needed.
So what was the dog's name? What was the dog's name, Lee?
Peppy.
Oh, I know. How long did you have Peppy?
Since I was, teenager. So we're talking 97, maybe 6, something like that. You know what I mean? Really, no, I would say second thought, early 90s. We lost him in the early 90s, but a lot of memories in high school growing up with that dog.
Oh, I'm telling you, everything that you went through, that dog was always at your side. Lee, good to hear from you, buddy. I hope all is well, okay?
Yeah, we'll talk again. Thanks, Rob. Bye-bye.
All right, there he goes, my buddy Lee. It is amazing how when I think about my dog, that toy collie, it was really a Heinz 57, but it had a little bit of collie, so we always would say toy collie. But I'll just tell you a quick story. So one of the neighbor's dogs had a litter, right? So one day, my sisters and I, now you got to remember, everywhere I went back in the day, my sisters, we were always together, right? I have 5 sisters. So it was my twin sisters, I believe my baby sister, who's 2 years younger than me, and me. We went to this home, and my sister, Janine, one of the twins, took Shawnee. And I'm like, well, what are we going to do with that? We're going to go home. And I'm like, Dad's not going to let us keep that dog. I mean, he's got to feed, 6 kids. He's not going to want to have a pet. How many times did he tell us we're not going to get a pet? Can't afford it? No. But my sister, headstrong, she still is to this day. I mean, it looked like something out of the Our Gang movies, right? We're all standing there. I love that dog. I want that dog, but Dad's not going to take that dog. We can't bring that dog home. So we had this long walk in the neighborhood that I grew up in called Gulbranson Heights, which was the old Gulbranson farm. And it seemed like it took forever. And I was getting more nervous the closer we got. And my sisters were really saying, I don't think we should be doing this. But Janine kept saying, we're doing it. And my dad just really pushed back. No, take that dog back. What are you doing? And the only person who had to do anything to convince him to do anything was his beloved wife, Eva, my mom. She could talk him into anything, okay? When there was like nothing in the cupboard to eat, she'd get out some Campbell's tomato soup and you'd have thought he had a filet mignon. She was magical. So the thing that all parents say, it's your dog, you're going to raise it. So we get this dog, and this dog right away, every night we're trying to see who gets to sleep with a dog. Look, now they have crates and they have dog beds and all these fancy schmancy things. Well, back then, that dog was at the foot of the bed or on the floor in someone's bedroom every night, okay? And in my neighborhood, all of my friends, we all had dogs. And none of them were ever on a leash. When we would go out and ride our bikes, our dog would be at our side. You would be at like someone's backyard swimming or whatever. You'd look over the horizon. There would come your dog to find you, to bring you home. Literally. I mean, it was magical. It was phenomenal. And these dogs lived a long time. So, but what happened was my dad and that dog bonded as we all kind of aged out, grew up, left the house. That dog and my dad were best friends. And I still think of how many nights I would go down the stairs where my dad was in his little sanctuary, having a little adult beverage after a long day, and he'd have like this cheese plate, you know, pepperoni and cheese and crackers. My dad could make some great hors d'oeuvres, right? And he always had, you know, that little glass with the ice cube and his little Crown Royal. And I'd hear him talking when I was walking down the steps, and I'm like, the TV on? And my dad always was playing big band music, okay? We got him one of those big boom boxes back in the day, and he'd be playing Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, and I'd hear him talking. And I'd go down, and the dog and him would be like having a conversation as though it was his best friend. And the dog would be like sitting in a chair, and he'd be in another chair, and they'd be at the bar. Like he was out, you know, with one of his buddies. And the more adult beverages he had, the more love he showed for that dog. And I used to tell my sisters how he would talk to that dog and pet that dog and love that dog. You know, we could have used some of that because my dad was really strict. And what I remember, every time my dad and him had a happy hour that turned into about 11 o'clock at night and later on the weekends, you'd hear him whistle or say, "Come here, Shawnee." He'd be in the... My dad loved to get up after midnight and eat. I have no idea. And honestly, I like to eat late too, and it's not good for you, but it's something I've done since, you know, forever. So my dad would always go to bed for a while. "Come on, Shawnee, let's go to bed." And then he'd get up, and you'd hear him say, "Come on, Shawnee." And Shawnee would go into the kitchen. And normally, when you have that many kids, somebody's in the kitchen all hours of the day or night. My dad would open the refrigerator door. It would illuminate the kitchen, okay? We didn't have night lights back then. Pitch dark. The light would come on. And there was a bologna back in Beaver County that was called Luger's Meats, okay? Eventually became Beaver Falls Meats, and then it was sold to someone else. And bottom line is, back in the day, Luger's Meat, their bologna, was like filet mignon. I mean, it was top shelf. My dad would always, out of a pound, get 4 or 5 slices every night, squirt some mustard or whatever, roll it up, and he'd eat it. But before he would do that, he'd always and he laughed. My dad never laughed. To get my dad to smile was like a miracle. My mother could make him do it, but it was always grumpy about something, right? And I'm sure raising 6 kids, 5 girls, 1 bathroom, didn't make his life all that easy. But he would toss this bologna in the air, and it would come very close to sticking to the ceiling, and sometimes it did. And that's when you had the old oil-based paints and everything stuck to the ceiling, right? But that dog, the timing was unbelievable. That dog would leap into the air and catch that bologna before it would hit the ground. And my dad thought that was like the greatest thing in the world. And then he'd say, "Come on, Shawnee," and he'd have a bowl of ice cream usually. And he'd give Shawnee a little bit of ice cream, and then they would walk off into the night down that hallway, and they would go to sleep. And I would hear my dad in the morning talking to that dog. So I don't know why. Maybe I'm just getting to the end of the road, and I'm thinking about all the things that matter to me. And when I was my happiest, those were good days. And what happened in the end, Shawnee would not go in anyone's room but my dad's. And that dog, when that dog died, my dad was crushed. So memories of my dog, Shawnee. And I'm glad a couple of you called in tonight, because pets you will take with you in your heart the rest of your life. All right, short break. We're coming back. Anybody else wants to jump in here before we say goodnight? You know you're always welcome. 866-391-1020.
When you need to know, depend on the news leader. At home, in your car, or at work. The voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM, AM 1020, and KDKA-radio.com.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Buy 2 windows, get 2 free. 24 months, no payments or interest. $500 off. Restrictions do apply, but call 412-543-6003.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
The Carpenters Training Center is holding its annual open house on Saturday, May 2nd. Doors open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bring the whole family and enjoy food prizes and Kids Corner. Their 4-year apprenticeship program is tuition-free, and you will earn competitive wages and benefits while you learn. Information sessions begin at 9 a.m. and noon. Learn about a career in the union building trades, as well as the pre-apprenticeship program. Join them Saturday, May 2nd, as 4th-year apprentices from their 6 crafts participate in competitions and demonstrations. Find out more at eascarpenterstech.edu.
Tickets are on sale now for the upcoming season of the Pittsburgh Speakers Series at Heinz Hall, presented by University of Pittsburgh, with Anderson Cooper, former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, historian Anne Applebaum, financial journalist Andrew Ross Sorkin, former NASA Administrator Charles Bolden, and acclaimed war photographer Lindsay Addario. For information and tickets, go to pittsburghspeakers.org. Sponsored by News Radio KDKA and the Spanos Group of Raymond James.
Attention Pittsburgh area residents. If you have Medicaid and need help with activities of basic living, Freedom Care can make it easy. With Freedom Care, the person who cares for you can be someone you love, your family, your friend, or a trusted neighbor. They can assist you with meals, bathing, eating, mobility, and more, and Medicaid pays them for your care. You stay in the home you love, surrounded by the people you choose, and it's 100% free to you. Don't wait. Call Freedom Care now. Call 412-981-1620. With Freedom Care, you get the care you need, and your loved one gets paid instantly after every shift. Feel better, heal better, and live better at home with Freedom Care. Call 412-981-1620 or visit freedomcare.com today. That's 412-981-1620. Again, 412-981-1620. 412-981-1620.
SchultzFord.com, 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 SchultzFord.com.
Where Pittsburgh comes to talk. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
All right, that was kind of a nice little segment. So why don't we just kind of take it to the top of the hour, kind of finishing that topic. You know, I got to tell you, my last dog that I had was named Sammy. He was a cockapoo, one of those designer dogs, right? Loved him. He died really young. He was only like 8 years old. Had a blood clot, passed away. You know, I did that show with Dr. Michael Hutchinson forever on KDKA, and we are lifelong friends and just an incredible human being. His son, Nico, now works with him. You hear him on the morning show all the time. I really had a tough time losing Sammy. Sammy was like my best friend. I mean, I got Sammy when I was with my children, and then obviously, I went through a divorce, which all of you know. Everybody's best friends now. Everybody's right where they need to be. It's all good in the neighborhood, right? Very, very happy on both sides. But, my kids were somewhat young, and my kids were my entire life. So it was a really traumatic time. And then I lost Sammy. So it really just was like pouring salt into a wound. And it's been 15 years since I lived in that house, and it's been a long time since Sammy was alive. But I kind of said, look, no more dogs. I can't take it. Because the great thing about pets, they're great, but they become a part of you. They're an extension of your family. Listen, we had cats as kids, and when the cats died or, they were injured or in an accident, sadly, one of my favorite cats was poisoned by somebody in the neighborhood who will remain nameless. But my dad made sure that person knew that he was in a whole lot of trouble. Bottom line is, I loved those pets growing up. We had pet turtles. We had everything, right? But the dog's really special, near and dear. And honestly, it took me a long time to get over losing Sammy. I mean, I would cry tears at night that there was nothing coming out, okay? I mean, I just was horrified the thought of not having Sammy in my life. And he wasn't even living with me, but I was getting close to saying, hey, look, you got the house, you got the kids, you and I are best friends. And you always said he was my dog, so why can't Sammy come and live with me? But it didn't happen. He passed away. It was just horrible. But lo and behold, my son, who's on his own now, all grown up, 6'6", he's a giant, works in cybersecurity, bright, has his own house. He decides to get a dog, a rescue dog. And it's Australian Shepherd. And if you know those dogs, they're absolutely amazing. And now, what has happened? I have another child, another son by the name of Jax, as in Jax. I love this dog. Now, I got to be honest with you. He's a handful. And you got to be strong like my son who goes to the gym every day. And you got to be physically big to be able to control this dog. So I'm over his house a couple of times, dog sitting, whatever. And I'm like, he's a dog. You know, you do what you do with dogs. Well, let me tell you something. This is like having a linebacker who can literally take your feet out from underneath you with one body block. But the joy and the power and just the sheer loveliness of this dog. And Australian Shepherds have one thing that they do, and one thing Dr. Mike and I used to love to do, and I would drive him crazy with this, different breeds and why they were created and what they did. Well, this Australian Shepherd, they were bred to herd. And when I'm walking this dog is like pushing me like into a corner all the time. I'm like, I'm walking you. You're not walking me. But that's the herding instinct. But you see, I have a little of my dad in me, and that is I like to give treats when maybe they've had too many. And my son kind of disciplines me about that. But I love being around this dog. And, you know, it just brings me joy. But the joy that it really has given me, you know, so my sons are really unique because they're my sons. They look like me. They act like me. They have some of my father in them, my mother's sense of humor, as does my daughter. So there's just really something special about my children. And you love them so much. You want them to be happy. You want them to be safe. And you know that you got to let them live their life and you got to back away and you can't hover over them. Now, me, I could be with my kids 24 hours a day. My dad, he wanted us out of the house right away. There was just too many of us, right? But every time I got a text today from my son for no reason, and I was just so joyful to get a text from my son, right? But what has brought me the most joy, and I'll be thinking about this on the way home, even though my children don't really have me anymore, and I lost a lot of really good years, sadly taken from me, wouldn't wish it on anyone, no way, no how. But that dog has given me peace of mind, and I have a picture of him at home, and I kind of look at it from time to time, and I think about, at least I know my son has a real friend and a companion. And the dog is young enough that that dog could be a part of his life until maybe he meets someone and has a family of his own. But for right now, being on his own and a homeowner in his mid-20s and kind of learning the rules of the road and becoming a household person, you know, cooking, doing things, cleaning, all the other stuff. But to have this dog in his life, it just brings me such joy. And I know that it's expensive. I know, you know, it can be a heartbreak when you lose them. But I don't care if it's a cat, it's a dog, it's a bird, it's a fish tank. I think everybody should really have a pet. I really think so. I think they do you so much good. And I'll be honest with you. I always liked the bigger dogs, but I never really had one. Shawnee was kind of, I don't know, maybe 60 pounds. Sammy was like maybe 30. But this dog that my son has, in these eyes, and if you know an Australian Shepherd, these eyes look into your soul, and they're magical. And, you know, I was talking to a canine officer the other day, and I just absolutely admire these canine officers. They're just incredible. But listen, if you're kind of going through a rough time or, you know, you want to do something special for your family, you know, go through all the questions, do your research, Google it. If you have a great vet like either Doc Hutchinson or his son Nico, ask all the questions. But your life will be better and much more richer